Okay, thank you all for coming. Today is Monday, February 9th. It is 5:30 p.m. and this is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Paris City Council. Now call the meeting to order. If everyone would please rise, we'll have the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Invocation tonight by Reverend Letty and the pledge by Mr. Pickle.
Let us settle our hearts for just a moment in prayer. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity for these elected officials to serve the people of the city of Paris. Help us all here to act with character and conviction, to listen with understanding and goodwill, and to speak with charity and restraint. Give us all a spirit of service. Remind us all that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders your people need. Help us see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us, and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence your creation deserves. And finally, Father, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human person. We ask this as your sons and daughters, confident in the goodness and love. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 4, the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city council members, or employees, as well as individual personnel appeals are not appropriate for the Citizens Forum. With that being said, before we open this up, I realize we have a large crowd tonight, and I just want to remind everyone that on the Citizens Forum, there is a 2-minute time limit. I'm not trying to be rude, but in an effort, that's just kind of the standing rule. And also, I assume most of you are here for item 12 on the recycling facility, and please keep in mind that there is a citizens input piece during that agenda item as well. So if you'd like to save your comments for that point, also on the dog park too, I believe. So if those items need to be addressed, if you'd like to wait until that item, please feel free. Reverend Price.
Reverend Price, my name is James Price of 1230 Shiloh. I come to address, good evening, gentlemen. I come to address the council about 2 or 3 different things. One, I come to address the council about Westgate. Westgate is a bad, I was outside on the west side. It's owned by nobody. I've been down to Dallas, Texas. The office is closed. 440110 West, Suite West, on West Grove is gone. There was the federal government, there was us, and what the Kansas City Council going to do about that? It's your baby now, $33,000 over you. Also, I come to address you also on the fact, I'm starting a petition, it gets started mayor. I think we prepare, we wouldn't know who we want to the city council, bring the good old boy system up. That's what I got here, good old boy system. They voted the mayor in. I think it's time we start voting the old mayor in. Plus, on the recycle center, the west side of Paris, I've been there for years to get that out of there. Never got people here, they don't want that over to guess what we want. I was going to on the west side. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
Arjuman Hashmi, 4510 FM 195. As a private citizen, I find it very distressing that we would disfigure the entrance to a residential neighborhood by placing a recycling business at its entrance. It is also distressing to put the same recycling facility in the most growing retail part of our city. This should not happen for any reason. As a citizen, I understand that it may conform to some code. With all due respect, there needs to be another block added to our code that should say common sense. Let me say it again. Let me say it again that this should not happen for any reason. As a council member for District 7, I called a meeting of the interested parties last Tuesday and asked that the item be placed for action on this agenda since no agreeable solution could be reached. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening. I'm Bud Mackey. I represent the local VFW.
And we're going to be having a special event at the Lake Crook Park in April. And what I'm here to ask is that the city ordinance number 2012-013, chapter 3, section 35C, be amended to include Lake Crook Park for special events. I spoke with the city employees about this, and I've got the thing here if there's a question about it, but this is just to amend it. The fairgrounds and civic center is already in the ordinance. I'm just asking that Lake Crook be added.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Godwin, are you
Yes, sir.
going to look into that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm Christy Wendell, and I live at 4142 Primrose Lane. A poor decision has been made by the city, and it needs to be corrected. I'm certainly not opposed to recycling, and I welcome new businesses to our town, but the wrong location has been approved for Recyclers Depot. The problem began when the city issued a building permit for an iron and scrap metal collection facility on Lamar at the entrance to Morningside. When I asked the city how they possibly could have allowed a metal scrapyard to be built next to a family neighborhood, I was told they met all the zoning requirements and it was zoned as commercial retail. Retail is defined as selling something to a consumer. This business isn't selling anything. But even more puzzling to me is the fact that both properties on either side of this land, Cave Wave Car Wash and My Dentist, were required to appear before this council. Why wouldn't the same process have been required for their controversial junkyard? I've reviewed the ordinances, and there is no use listed for recycling. Therefore, I feel this permit should have been reviewed by P&Z and the council. In addition, in response to my public information request, I've come across just this morning 2 emails which greatly concern me. 7 months ago, Glick wrote to Godwin and Napier confirming all these measures can be handled in-house and none of these matters concerning this venture will need to be approved by the city council. What's going on? Several months later, Napier's staff member said, "We don't have any licensing or permitting requirements in our department for metal recyclers." That's accurate. I've got some real credibility issues with the owner and how he has misrepresented his business, and I'll be happy to elaborate on all of my concerns when more time is allowed. I've heard a lot of talk about transparency and accountability, and what's wrong with how about just tell the truth and do the right thing? So I task all the council members to reflect on the Rotary 4-way test when considering this junkyard's location. Is it fair? Is it the truth? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And is it going to be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wendell.
My name is Vic Ressler. I live at 4020 Holbrook, that's in Morningside. I also have an office just a few doors down from the Tri-State proposed recycling center. And the owners are here. I will tell them that I'm not opposed to this at all. I'm just opposed to where it is. I think what they're wanting to do is a good idea. I have a copy of the city ordinance. The zoning ordinance is for Paris. And so it was said in the papers that retail was mentioned. I go through the city ordinance book and I look for retail, and retail specifically is about shops and stores that sell goods to people. These people don't sell anything. In fact, they buy. That ordinance specifically is subtitled to exclude anything that is salvage material and also anything that's outside sales. So I don't see that it fits retail. However, it is zone commercial. So as I run my finger down through all of the different uses that are defined by the city for commercial, not one of them comes anywhere close to describing this kind of business. I don't see it. I took a look at it from another perspective. If you go down through the uses that are defined by the city, the one that absolutely fits this in my mind is wrecking or salvage. You can define salvage as reusing discarded or damaged materials. You can define that as, these are dictionary, reusing property and materials contained therein for reuse, refabrication, or scrapping. Sounds like salvage to me. Salvage requires heavy industrial and a special use permit. The special use permit requires that it go through planning and zoning. They get vetted by planning and zoning, and then it goes through city council for approval. So, in my mind, the city has made a very big mistake in issuing this permit.
Mr. Ressler, I
2 minutes?
truly apologize, but the 2 minutes are up.
Okay,
If you'd
I'll
like
pick
to
it
come
up on
back.
the next one.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Okay.
If I can, and I know this is a little out of order normally, but I'm a citizen too, I guess, but we can talk to things that are on the agenda, and this is on the agenda. So, much as I'd like to make a whole lot of, and I'm sorry to cut you off, ma'am, he'll let you talk in a second, to make a whole lot of excuses and yada, 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 the bottom line is, you're right, we made a mistake. Our staff reviewed this when the applicants came in, and we decided, or staff decided, that it goes in this specific category. Staff does not have the authority to do that by ordinance. What Mr. Ressler was just saying was exactly right. The ordinance requires that to go to Planning and Zoning Commission, not to the staff to make that determination. And in that forum, these guys get to make their speech and their spiel and make their case, and then all of you folks would be there and you get to make your case. So we made a mistake. I wish we were all perfect, but we absolutely made a mistake. We should not have issued that permit when we did. You're exactly right, and I apologize to all of you. I apologize to developers, and I absolutely apologize to the council. We made a mistake. We can't undo that mistake. But what I will be recommending on item number 12 is that the city council send this to P&Z, as we should have done back in August. We've actually talked to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We've polled so that we can have a meeting as soon as next week. You would all hopefully be there to give your side of the story, because you absolutely have a right and an obligation to do that, and I trust that you will. And then it could be back to the city council as soon as 2 weeks from tonight for a final action. But again, no equivocation. Staff did more than staff should have done. We made a mistake, and I apologize. This should not have happened. It's our fault.
Mr. Frierson, can I make a request, please?
Yes.
There are a lot of people from my district who do want to speak, and some of them are elderly people who may or may not be able to come again. So I'd like them to be able to speak.
Well, they're certainly welcome to
Yeah.
speak, but that's, and if you'd like, after this, we can move item 12 up.
That's
But
fine, whichever
as-
which
As
way.
opposed to the citizens
And we
forum,
can,
we have.
along those lines, not to, if, I understand what you're saying. If some of those folks are not able to come back next week, we can certainly provide their testimony tonight for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Anyone else wishing? Okay.
I was on my way up here, so I'll just go ahead and make my statement. My name is Carolyn Patterson. I'm a Morningside resident, and I own the property at 4225 Primrose. That is immediately behind this facility. I know that's what we're talking about, and hopefully it'll be resolved. But I want you to know that the garage door to this home is about 30 feet from the fence line. Has a small patio out in the back. Can you imagine waking up in the morning, wanting to go out for a cup of coffee? The sights, the smells, the noise of thousands, tons of metal being dumped into big, probably metal containers. $150,000, $60,000 investment have a junkyard placed at the back is totally unacceptable. I'm glad to hear what Mr. Godwin has said, and hopefully this will be rectified and something can be done. I think all of Morningside is concerned. As that property owner that has the home with the greatest impact, I'm very, very concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Sarah Etherly. I live at 4134 Primrose. I have one question. While the city council and everyone is deciding on this decision, correcting it, will the work be stopped on this facility?
Mr. Young?
That's my initial thought, is that we should stop work in the meantime. That's something that ultimately we'll need to defer to the city attorney on, and there's an executive session to talk about that with the city council at the end of this meeting. So
Okay.
I'll have an answer for you before we go home tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in the citizens forum? Mr. Roden?
Council members, my name is Marcus Roden. I live at 3930 Holbrook in Morningside. It appears that construction has started. You have issued a permit. You have made a mistake.
Yes, sir.
My father taught me about making mistakes. He said, son, the spanking you're going to get is going to make sure you don't forget and make the same mistake again. Your spanking, if these people feel the way I do, will be everybody in this room if that place shows up and is constructed. Us all going to the tax assessor and asking for a reduction because of damage to the value of our homes, which will be lowering the money that you get from our taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Roden. Anyone else wishing to speak in the citizens forum? If not, the citizens forum is now closed. Move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone on the council have any items that need to be discussed individually from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
I make
Motion by Dr. Hashmi. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Pickle. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Ms. Ellis, we're on to the regular agenda. Item 12.
Receive citizen input, discuss and act on proposed recycling facility on Lamar Avenue.
Okay, and before we start on this item, I'd like to clarify just two things, some of which have been touched on so far, but I've had lots of phone calls and certainly appreciate the interest and effort everyone's shown on this particular item. Again, some of this John touched on a few moments ago, but this item, I guess I get to stop myself. A lot of people would like that. This item has never been presented to the City Council or to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We've not seen any plans, nor have we been asked to make any decisions on this item. So I read some things in the newspaper and just really want to make sure that we all understand, moving on to my second point, that we all understand why we're here. We're here to represent the entire community, and we take our jobs very seriously. And what we need to do is to make the best decision we can for all of Paris, and I want to get that out. The second thing is I've heard valid concerns from citizens regarding property values, quality of life issues that would be, in their eyes, taken away from this new venture. I think tonight's a great opportunity for all of us to learn and understand more about how our city works and operates day to day. A lot of times, there's this supposition on how things actually flow. And in going through this the past week, I really wanted to make sure that tonight happened so we can hear the whole story, so we can understand the Glicks idea. It's a new concept, trying to invest in our city, understand the citizens' concerns, and make sure we all hear the same message. I've asked Mr. Godwin to walk us through this item and review the zoning history of the property, what the zoning actually means, how this model fits into the classification, and how we came here to be tonight. Like I said, in essence, really just want the city to hear the same message without any static or any interpretation, just so that we're all here. We might as well hear the same thing. So with that said, Mr. Godwin, if you'll walk us through this item, and would be appreciated. And once council has had a chance to ask their initial rounds of questions, we'll open it up to the citizens or anyone else that might want to share their feelings. So appreciate your patience and your interest, certainly. And Mr. Godwin, if you don't mind.
Okay. The base zoning ordinance goes back to 1972, so it's very old for a zoning ordinance. Specifically, this property was zoned in 1996, and it was zoned commercial. And just to clarify, there is a retail zoning and there is a commercial zoning. This is commercial. Commercial is broader, allows more things than retail, and there are both retail and commercial on that same piece of road. In fact, the future land use plan that was adopted by the city several years ago actually calls for all of that to become retail, but the city's never rezoned that from commercial to retail. So it is still commercial. Commercial includes a lot of different land uses I won't go through, some of which you would probably be okay with, frankly, a lot of which I suspect you would not be very happy with at all. And that's another issue that I want to address here towards the end of what I'm saying. Kind of real quickly, what happened was these folks came in, just as Mr. Ressler, I think a couple other folks have said too over the last week. Recycling center wasn't around in 1972, and so it's not on the list. And in a lot of cities, the ordinance, if that's the case, you kind of pick out what's close. And that's what our staff did. And based on that determination, they decided, as it was described to us by the applicants, that it most fit commercial, not retail, but commercial, as opposed to light industrial. Those were really the two choices they had based on things like dust, odor, and noise. The problem was, whatever judgment we made on that, that wasn't our job to do. The next step should have been to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that's where we made our mistake. Now, again, you can disagree or agree with the facts of the case as far as their judgment on what they decided, but the bottom line is it should have gone to Planning and Zoning Commission. There would have been a public hearing, a public meeting, so that both people, like I said before, could have made their cases, and that's where we made the mistake. For that reason, then again, I am recommending that the City Council refer this to the Planning and Zoning Commission. As I think I said, we've already polled the Planning and Zoning Commission. We can have a quorum that would meet as soon as next Tuesday. That's our tentative plan, is to meet next Tuesday. We'll firm that up and get that out to folks once it's for sure. But our tentative plan is to meet here next Tuesday at 5:30 before the Planning and Zoning Commission. And again, both sides would have their say, as should have happened a couple of months ago. The second thing I'm going to recommend to the City Council tonight, which is not quite as immediate, and that is I suggest also that the Planning and Zoning Commission take up a zoning case for this entire parcel of land, or not this parcel, but this entire area. Because again, there's a lot of things on there. There's crematoria can be put out there, sexually oriented businesses, drive-in theaters, heavy equipment repair. Again, a lot of things I don't think you want out there. So I'm going to suggest that P&Z also, not next week, but here really soon, take up a case and rezone most or all of that from commercial to retail. Because most of that, if not all of it, should be retail. And off the top of my head, there may be some that needs to stay commercial, but a lot of that needs to become retail, if not all of it. And of course, property owners that are affected on either side of that, as well as you, that would be during a public hearing for Planning and Zoning Commission as well. That would also come back to City Council. That's a separate issue, but I just want to mention that because if you do look at those, some of those of you that have looked at that list, and I did, it kind of horrified me, feeling like, oh gosh, we need to fix this, because we'll be having this meeting again in another month when somebody wants to put something crazy back there. So anyway, those are my two recommendations. Again, I apologize to all of you and to you folks on the front row and to the City Council. City Council was not involved with this. That's part of the problem. They got skipped. And we're certainly learning our lesson on this. And as I said, I wish we had nothing but perfect employees, but we actually have none, myself included, working here. But we do try to do our best, and we apologize for making a mistake. But again, those are my two recommendations to ask the Planning and Zoning Commission to take this up next week, and then shortly after that, as possible, to take up a zoning case to rezone this area from commercial to retail.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Godwin. Does anyone on the council have questions of Mr. Godwin at this point?
I'll have some, but afterwards.
Afterwards, okay. Any other questions? I know personally I've asked a lot, but don't know if any of the rest of the council has others they'd like to ask. If not, we'll open up for citizens input if anyone would like to speak. Certainly now. It's a good time to come forward. Let Mr. Ressler continue his statement. So,
Mr. Frierson, there are some chairs in the conference hall if people want to just pull them out.
John, is there someone that staff? I don't know if there's room. Or, thanks
They're
again.
kind of big chairs, but if they fit.
I don't know about the. We may have. Mr. Ressler, please.
Is the clock running?
The floor is
Is there a
yours.
limit on this?
I put it up, I promise.
Okay, thank you. As I was saying, I think the city made a mistake. I think it's gracious of John and his staff to admit the fact that they've made a mistake. I see the only way to fix this at this point is to rescind or revoke that current permit. I think that every day that this company continues spending their money on this property compounds the problem. So at minimum, they need to be stopped. I feel like these guys should be reimbursed for the work they do if indeed they started this property on the premise that they had a correct permit. I acknowledge that if you have a situation where there is an unclassified use, that the procedure is to go through P&Z, and John, you've explained that very well. However, I still maintain that there is one already on the books called salvage. I'll disagree with John in that this book says heavy industrial. I can't fathom that anybody that's selected for our planning and zoning, nor any of the elected officials of this city would allow heavy industrial use on Lamar Avenue in that area. I can't fathom that. So I would be confident that and hopeful that this process will undo all that. I think it's unfortunate that the city could suffer some financial loss because of this. However, I also think about the potential liability from all of these people. There's millions of dollars worth of property value that are in close proximity to this project. If these people suffer loss of value in their property, what kind of liability does the city have? And it's not just necessarily short term, because you know how things go. Sometimes businesses start out with very good intentions, but if this company down the way has trouble with stale beer running out on the ground and syrup drinks and flies and odors and all that kind of stuff, what are the ramifications for the city from all those people that live nearby there and have businesses nearby there? What are the ramifications from those people? So either way, it's not a good thing. But my last comment is sort of a side note. I noticed in one of the publications that came out from Tri-State that traffic won't be a problem, and particularly for their trucks because they have access to a light. Now, well, you know, I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, but the rest of the story is I believe there's about a 30-foot easement between the back of the car wash and Primrose that is for ingress and egress for whoever owns that lot. So another can of worms, if they're going to run their trucks in and out of a residential neighborhood to get to the back of the property, we have another problem. Just saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ben Glick with Recyclers Depot. First, I would like to thank everybody for coming out and taking the time, especially the council members. We appreciate your attention to this matter. First, we would like to introduce ourselves and provide a little bit more information about Recyclers Depot. Quick side note, I'd be remiss if I didn't say there's lots of information on our website, recyclersdepot.com. In addition, we have a Facebook page that's received a lot of participation. Recyclers Depot is a new recycling business coming to Paris. Recyclers Depot is an innovative and unique approach to community recycling and a complete departure from the stereotypical recycling operation. Our intention is to provide a facility more associated with traditional retail, making recycling more attractive and available to both existing and new recyclers. Facility cleanliness is a cornerstone of our business and concept. Housekeeping will be a priority. All working surfaces will be concrete and kept clean. Recyclers Depot will be completely under roof with no material stored on the ground or in piles. We will only gather material which will then be shipped to Texarkana to our main processing facility. I'm going to emphasize this a few times. There will be no processing at the Recyclers Depot facility. It is merely a collection facility. In an effort to address some of the repeated concerns we've heard from the community, I'd just like to run through some bullet points and kind of hit on some topics that we've heard. Number one, is Recyclers Depot a junkyard? We are absolutely not a junkyard. Our business is designed to be just the opposite. We're bringing a new approach to community recycling. Recyclers Depot will be a completely paved and covered facility. Recyclers Depot features an innovative design, a modern layout, certified scales, computers, and ATM machines for customer payment. We've received a lot of questions. Why this location? First of all, I'd like to address Paris, Texas. We feel like Paris, Texas is an underserved recycling area. In terms of curbside recycling center, we see a lot of demand for recyclers, and even among people who in Morningside who have expressed concerns about this project, I think there is a large intention in this community to recycle to take care of their community and the environment. So we want to serve that demand. In terms of the Lamar Avenue location, convenience is a cornerstone of our business. So if we're out there in the sticks, nobody's going to come to our business. Nobody's going to want to recycle there. We need to be in a high traffic area. We need to be convenient for our customers to have the maximum positive impact on the community. Now, is Recyclers Depot in the appropriate zoned area? Yes. Recyclers Depot is in a commercially zoned area. We are doing a commercial use on a commercial property. We're next to a gas station. We're next to storage warehousing, and we're next to 2 car washes. There will be no processing, no manufacturing, or any industrial activity on the Recyclers Depot property. Recyclers Depot will only collect purchased materials, store them for shipment back to our main facility in Texarkana, where they will be processed. I just want to reiterate the operational and business concern of this. When that material is in Paris, Texas, when it's at Recyclers Depot, we are making a dime on it. We don't want to see it here. We want to collect that material, pay the good citizens of Paris for it, and get it back to our facility in Texarkana where it can be processed. It is not in our model to process material in Paris at the Recyclers Depot facility. There's been a lot of concern about how Recyclers Depot is going to appear to people coming in the city, the impact on the neighborhood, property values, etc. Recyclers Depot is designed and attractively landscaped in a style similar to other retail businesses. The building will feature a modern glass storefront. In addition, our landscaping will include beautiful crepe myrtle trees, which I've come to learn are quite a fit in Paris, Texas. There will also be shrubbery. It will be well lit. We're exploring planting fir trees in the rear of the property to visually divide Recyclers Depot from the Morningside neighborhood, as the kind lady earlier addressed. There have been concerns expressed about noise. Again, no heavy machinery on the site. Facility will produce no more noise than any other typical warehouse operation. Very similar to the one behind the gas station, about 2 doors down. Or Lamar Avenue traffic in general, with trucks and other heavy traffic. There's been a concern about pests and rodents. I would just love to assuage this concern right now. There will not be a pest or rodent problem. We've been in the recycling business for 68 years. We do not have a pest or rodent problem. Generally, pests and rodents are not attracted to metal. I've never met a rat that had a steel lunch. And we don't have that problem. Like any other business, we'll use local pest control services to manage this. Used beverage cans will be stored in a sealed van trailer. They will not be exposed to open air. No insect concerns there. We do not buy metals with food residue. Even a tin can, we're going to require that to be rinsed out before we purchase it. The only metal stored outside will be heavy steel and large pieces of aluminum, again, which does not attract pests or rodents. What about odor? We don't buy trash. It doesn't have value to us. We don't buy trash. There should not be an odor issue. In general, the metals we buy produce no odor. 80% of the metal types that we buy will be stored indoors. The only metals stored in our outdoor covered area will again be large steel and aluminum pieces, which have no strong odor associated with them. I would think a valid comparison is how your metal roof smells or the hood of your car. That's the type of material that will be outside. Is Recyclers Depot an enclosed facility? Recyclers Depot is completely covered and partially enclosed. This is as it's stated in all the Recyclers Depot issued literature, and especially if you look at the pictures, including the original press release That's the way we've always portrayed Recyclers Depot. This is unique in the scrap and recycling industry. I don't think you'll find another facility that is completely covered and that features as nice and modern a customer lobby area for our customers, as you'll see with this business. I've heard issues about traffic. I would love to speak to that. Recyclers Depot will not significantly impact traffic patterns on Lamar Avenue. We anticipate 1 to 3 trucks Tuesday through Saturday. These pickups may be coordinated so they occur during non-peak traffic hours. These trucks will be able to utilize the signal light at Lamar Avenue and 42nd Avenue. And just to clarify, we aren't talking about running down the alley or in the Morningside neighborhood at all. We're just going to time pulling out during a red light. You know, truck drivers are smart at driving trucks. They're going to pull out into a bunch of traffic. So it is useful that there's a signal light at 42nd and Lamar. For our customers, Recyclers Depot has 8 unloading bays with an additional truck scale. In addition, there's parking in the rear of the facility for overflow traffic. So we don't anticipate having a significant traffic impact on Lamar. I think something that has not received enough attention in this discussion is the positive environmental impact that I guarantee you Recyclers Depot is going to have on this community. Recycling helps preserve our planet and our communities. By reusing materials instead of harvesting new resources, we are able to have a positive impact on our environment. And I haven't heard anyone who's not in favor of recycling and keeping Paris beautiful. For example, recycling one car saves more than 2,500 pounds of iron ore, 1,400 pounds of coal, and 120 pounds of limestone. By using ferrous scrap, steel scrap, rather than virgin material in the production of steel, CO2 emissions are reduced by 58%. And climate change is an issue that affects all of us and our children. Not to mention that recycling prevents valuable metals from polluting the earth and being wasted in local landfills. Now, another issue that I haven't heard talked about much, but I want to make sure we get through, is how is Recyclers Depot going to affect the Paris economy? We're going to have a significant positive impact on this community. We will not just be collecting material, we'll be purchasing that material from the very residents here in Paris. We anticipate approximately 1.5 to 2 million in annual purchases. Economists have told us that we can expect that money to be multiplied throughout the community. In a narrative sense, customers will come to Recyclers Depot. They will receive money for items that were previously going to a landfill. Then they will take that money and spend it in local businesses. Those local businesses will pay local salaries. Those local salaries will go to purchasing local real estate and cars and goods. And over, we will see this positive impact in the community. In addition, we will be creating 4 to 5 local jobs. This totals $250,000 in new annual salaries. In addition, there's a construction project going on. We think, knock on wood, let's stay on budget, but it's a $900,000 construction project. And we're using local subcontractors, people y'all are probably friends with, we're becoming friends with, the good people at Wheeler Construction, Hillard & Sons, Blake Plumbing, Jamar Air Conditioning, Hargis Electric. We're using local people to build a local project and improve this community. Now, I'd like to speak a little bit to the things John mentioned. We came in here in June of 2014. We wanted to do things the right way, and so far we've been told we've done everything the right way, and we want to continue to do that. We had a confirmation letter in August that this was a commercial use of a commercial property, and we were zoned properly. Then we received a building permit, and acting in reliance of that permit, we began construction. Now there's a lot that goes into construction. Right now we're $250,000 into this project. We want to continue with this project. We want to put a Recyclers Depot here, and we want to benefit the people of Paris. for some reason we're unable to do this, we aren't going to have any alternative but to pursue other remedies. So what I ask of all the council members and all the good people of Paris in attendance today is please consider what you've heard today. Go online, go to the website, go to Facebook, look at the information in front of you, and use this opportunity to let us earn your trust and your business. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just before, I'm sorry, Mr. Fulmar, if you don't mind, just Mr. Glick, does anyone have any questions of Mr. Glick? I don't want to put him on the spot, but since he's here, it might be a good opportunity.
What brought you to Paris?
Again, Paris, we have our main facility in Texarkana, Arkansas. And for transportation reasons, it only makes sense for us to have a satellite facility with about a 100-mile radius. So we looked within that radius. And again, we identified Paris as an underserved recycling community, the lack of curbside, the lack of a municipal recycling center. And then Walmart, Lamar Avenue, the high traffic counts, we were attracted to the property on Lamar Avenue.
I'd like to ask,
Yes, sir.
I was told by a friend of mine, he's been to the other facilities and.
Get up to the mic, please, Ben.
Sorry. I was told by a friend of mine that he's been to the other facilities, the aluminum cans especially, he said y'all shred them and put them in a trailer. Is that true?
That is not completely accurate. What we do with aluminum cans at this facility, what we'll do is we have a machine that loads them directly into a van trailer. They'll be hauled back to our main facility in Texarkana that I believe you're referencing. And from there, we have a machine called a baler that will compact them, much like a hay bale you may be familiar with. And then that just gives us the density to justify transportation costs.
So you tell me the cans and stuff that are going to be put in this trailer, stuff that there won't be no leakage or anything out?
No, sir. It is a 100% sealed container. The only opening is connected to the machine blowing the cans in.
May I ask you a couple of questions? I've
Yes, sir.
been contacted by several residents and just want to make sure that you said something just a minute ago. So a couple of questions. So the hours of operation would be Tuesday to Saturday?
Yes, sir.
And what are
10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
So not opening with traffic until 10 a.m.?
No, and generally we found that we don't do a lot of business very early in the day.
Yeah. Okay.
It's for greater convenience as well.
And tell me more about, I understand the containers and cans and all those good things, but tell me about, you touched on this just a minute ago, with the larger items. How can you have things, if you're going to accept a car or larger items, how can you do that, first of all, without heavy machinery? And second of all, how can you do that without creating piles, mounds of material that you never see the bottom of anymore?
No, absolutely. That's a great question. And we fully want to acknowledge that this is an innovative concept. I'm not aware of anyone else doing this exact thing operationally. So for steel and large pieces of aluminum, let's say you pull in with a car, for example. That would be on the back of a flatbed trailer. We have a large forklift that will pick that car up directly off your trailer, and it will load it into what we call a high side or gondola trailer. It's an open top, heavy steel trailer, and so that car will never touch the ground. From there, it will be loaded directly into that open top trailer. And a lot of that is the efficiency of our operation. You know, we don't want to be handling material twice. So, I mean, when you talk about piling up material, that makes my head spin. I mean, the economics in that are no good. We need to get this stuff directly into the shipping containers and get it back to Texarkana for processing.
Yeah. And so no crushing of cars, nothing along those lines?
No, sir. We have a 30-acre facility in Texarkana, Arkansas. And just to understand the scope of the operation, we have about $20 million of processing equipment there. It would be impossible to do that on such a small parcel of land to begin with. And we have no interest in replicating all that machinery in Paris, Texas.
Right.
We want to get that material back to Texarkana where we can process it like we've been doing for the last 68 years.
Okay. And in your, you mentioned dealing with an economist. In your studies, do you see heavy machinery, cars, appliances, those things, is that going to be a big component? I know you can't predict the future, but where is the need here? Is it in the smaller recycling of cans and items like that, or is it in the heavier load?
I mean, I think a lot of that is why we are attracted to Paris. And not to dodge the question, it's across the board. Right now, the urban recycling is tremendously underserved. I think with cans and household items, sometimes you'll see somebody does a remodel, they take out some copper pipe, maybe an old kitchen sink. I think we've all had a home appliance die on us at some point. Mm-hmm. And then, there's a lot of agriculture surrounding here. We do a large bit of agricultural scrap. You have a tractor, a big piece of fencing, something like that. We do a lot of that business.
Is that the same concept as with a car where it doesn't touch the ground to
Absolutely. So it is completely outside of our business model for a piece of material to touch the ground.
Yeah.
Should that happen, I promise you it's an accident. What we do is we buy metal from our customers and we load it directly into its respective shipping container. Okay. Once those containers are full, we pick them up and bring them back to Texarkana for processing.
Okay. And you feel you can't really predict supply and demand, but the 1 to 3 truckloads a day, that seems, for things that aren't going to touch the ground, that seems sort of a low volume versus the turnover it would seem like you'd have to create.
I think it's hard to talk about. If you flip to the back of your packet, there's a list of items that we buy. Uh-huh. It's going to take a long time to build up, some of these things in terms of copper wire. Yeah. Get a truckload of that. Some of the bigger things like steel, we expect to move that trailer more frequently. But all in all, yes, for transportation reasons and the business model, we're projecting 1 to 3 truckloads per day. And we're going to have a truck dedicated to making this run. So
okay.
It's about an hour-and-a-half run, and we'll get it as soon as it's ready.
I understand. I just, like I said, so many of the calls I've gotten, there have been varying details that didn't always add up, and I wanted to make sure that those questions I got addressed out loud here.
No,
tonight.
absolutely. Those are great questions.
Dr. Grossnickel?
I have a couple of questions. I've recycled aluminum cans, and they do make a lot of noise. I mean, whether you're moving them from your car, the pickup truck bed, or whatever, are y'all gonna let the people bring those bags of cans in, or are you gonna have people that'll take them from them? But I mean, the level of noise, if you're shooting those into a container, seems like that might be pretty loud at times to me.
It'll be intermittent. We'll wait till we have enough to shoot into the container. And
okay, but it might get a little loud at times.
Well, I mean, I tell you, if you go to the property, I don't think it's as loud or very similar to what sound the car wash vacuum produces. And we certainly don't have a siren attached to the can machine.
Okay. And another question is, you mentioned that it's a desirable location. Well, obviously there's a lot of people in this room who don't want to be your customers at that location. Now, they might if you were somewhere else, but it seems to me like most people who recycle, a lot of times it's people picking up scrap and throwing it in the back of a trailer or a pickup truck. And then they, head to the recycling bin when they need to. But it's not like they're like driving down Lamar Avenue and go, oh, dadgum, I've been meaning to drop this off for the last 3 weeks. And here's, a new recycling place. I'll give it a try. I mean, I don't think that your location is as critical as you believe it is. I mean, I don't think you're going to get a bunch of drive-by people wanting to sell their cans just because you're there. In fact, you might, I think, find more customers that would rather it not be, and that you were somewhere accessible but not on such a busy avenue with a lot of traffic to dodge, especially if they have a trailer hooked up to their truck. So those are just some concerns I have about this location. I think it sounds like your business could be a very good asset to Paris, but it doesn't sound like this location is in the best interest.
Any other questions?
Can I ask
Now, before Ladies and gentlemen, if we could, just one more time, I'm not trying to be rude about this, but this is a public meeting and others are trying to hear too. So if we could, your applause, if we could hold those, and then also, you're certainly entitled to your opinion, but if someone's addressing the council, please don't shout out your comments. That's just only respectful to the others in the room. Thank you. Dr. Hashmi?
Mr. Glick, I have two other questions. There was a report in the paper that your facility is enclosed, and my understanding from the city manager in the last meeting was that you said that the facility was enclosed. Obviously, the facility is not an enclosed facility. Do you want to tell us why did you say to the paper that it's an enclosed facility?
Well, I imagine men and women with your experience, we understand sometimes things don't always get communicated as clearly as we'd like. So we got lost somewhere in translation. The original press release said that it was going to be a completely covered / indoors facility. We never used the language enclosed.
Okay. I have one other question. At your facility that is there in Texarkana, and you said that pests and all of those are not a problem. At the facility that you have, do you keep your culverts and all of those perfectly clean on that facility?
I'm sorry, I had trouble understanding you, sir.
The facility that you have currently, you said that you have no pest problems there, etc. Do you keep those ditches and culverts, etc. around your facility there perfectly clean?
Yes, cleanliness is a cornerstone of our business, sir. And it's not quite an apples to apples comparison. You're literally talking about a facility 30 times the size of the one proposed in Paris.
Okay. I have just a little concern with that because I think one of my constituents had emailed me a picture which looked very different from what you're describing.
And it will be very different, sir. You're
No,
talking
no,
about
I'm not
a 30-acre
talking about the facility itself.
process.
I'm talking about the cleanliness around the facility.
Well, I can vouch for our facility cleanliness.
Okay.
What?
I'm sorry.
What? I'm sorry?
We don't own the surrounding neighboring property of our facility in Texarkana. That's actually owned by other members of the community. Our facility is entirely fenced, and there's a lot of people, that's not our land, so.
Okay. Any other questions of Mr. Glick? No? No, Ms. Lancaster?
Well, I wanted to bring up something that no one seems to have addressed that I have a concern of, because I've seen it develop on some other properties. You have to the east of that property, running along the side, a creek, which is the headwater of a floodplain area. And I noticed that as the dirt was being pushed, that it was coming pretty close to encroaching on that creek. I do understand that the backside of Morningside has had flooding problems from time to time. And I'm concerned with the displaced water added to that creek might not create another problem.
That is a very valid concern, and I thank you for raising it. We have a stormwater consultant that we've been working with for almost 10 years. And as part of the extensive permitting process, we have a thorough stormwater plan.
All right, the other thing I'm saying, our city engineer has required that some of those creeks where there's development be cemented and kept clean. This one is not, as I've seen, at least not until you get further downstream. I'm really concerned that you're going to have at some point a really bad rain and we're going to create some problems for citizens.
Well, I believe Dr. Hashmi owns the creek in question, but we are absolutely amenable to working with Dr. Hashmi.
Actually, I don't own the creek.
I was going to say, I don't think he owns the creek.
I own the property behind it, but I don't own the creek.
Well, we'll have to look at the parcel map there.
But as you said, I'm sure that would be part of the site plan and the planning and zoning process that you'd have to go through. with
Absolutely,
engineering.
that was part of our original site
Right.
plan, and we have a full stormwater plan.
Right, so you have a plan for it?
Yes.
But it doesn't seem to be in place right now. Is that something you're going to address
A
at
berm
planning and
wall
zoning?
is what you're referring to. in the
I'm sorry, what?
A berm wall. They call that a berm wall, the pile of dirt. that
Possibly.
directs it.
Some
And
way to
that's for
address it.
construction purposes, and that was approved by the city.
Okay.
Thank you. very much. Anybody have any other questions? If not, thank you for coming and sharing your story with us.
Again, thank you so much for your time, and we're very excited about
Sure.
joining the Paris community.
Sure, thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
not going to speak again. I just left my junk
Oh,
here.
okay. Mr. Fulmar.
Mike Fulmer, 433 West Washington. So since I live in West Paris, I'm not going to be next to that. I appreciate all the newness of recycling, and I think everybody here in town would agree that we need recycling. But Marcus, it sounds like the city's going to have about $250,000 whipping to take on this. And it looks to me like that both parties could get together and negotiate on the site. You know, I haul construction materials all the time to the site on South Church Street, and it works real well. A lot of space out there. Looks to me like a place like that would be pretty fitting, that we could do that. And I know there's probably some others. I'm on the planning and zoning, so we look forward to this coming to us. And I can promise your constituents, Dr. Hashmi, that those that cannot attend, I'm here, so I'm hearing those things, and I'll carry them forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fulmar.
Carol Huffnagel, 720 Bunker Street. Thank you, Mr. Glick, and I'm all in favor of recycling centers, but not at that property, and I would like to ask a couple of questions. I have seen what battery acid can do to cement and surrounding. I have also seen, because we used to live on a farm and a ranch, people in the agriculture area and others, when they have their trailers of trash, radiators, batteries, wire, all that, some of that stuff falls out on the highways. What's to guarantee that there aren't going to be a bunch of flat tires because of debris that is, before it even gets to your facility? The other thing that concerns me, copper wiring is stolen all the time. Is your company going to ask for identification to prove that those people are justified in bringing that copper wiring in? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huffnagel.
If I could, yes, we are required by state law, as are all metal recyclers, to receive a driver's license, make, model of the car, license plate of the car for anyone selling copper. It's a regulated metal in the state of Texas. And I imagine some of you are familiar about it, having to provide that documentation with your own local recyclers.
Christy Wendell, 4142 Primrose Lane, and my house, my front yard, is their backyard. I will be the first to admit that Mr. Glick and I probably didn't get off to the very best start. Someone in the city called him and said, "Hey, you better call this lady. She is a force to be reckoned with, and she is quite upset about this," and I don't deny that one bit. I was very upset because I tried to be professional and follow the chain of command, and I approached office after office after office in this city, and the door continued to be slammed in my face. I knew this was the wrong decision, that this was a bad decision. And I was repeatedly told, there's absolutely nothing you can do. They've been issued a building permit, and it's done, so get over it. So I started making a little noise about this, asking some more questions, and lo and behold, I get a call from Mr. Glick. And he said, I understand you have some concerns, to his credit, and he said, I'd like to address those with you. So I told him, I said, I am not opposed to recycling, not one bit. I have recycled personally for over 50 years. When I lived in Connecticut and Vermont, it was the law. So I'm glad that, we're finally catching up in Paris. And I told him I was not opposed to recycling at all, but I was opposed to having his junkyard in my front yard. Now, he took exception to junkyard, and I'll cover that in just a minute. I've given the council 5 definitions of junkyard from Webster's, Oxford, American Heritage, and if the definition fits. And I told Mr. Glick, I said, I think you're in the courting period here, and you are really trying to dress up this pig, and you can put lipstick on it, but it is still a pig. And he said, well, in all honesty, we did look at other locations. We looked at other sites in town, and we actually wanted more land. But we were told that those properties had plush neighborhoods nearby, and there would be strong resident objections. Plus, the city did not want them driving their trucks through downtown. Now, Mr. Glick has since denied making that statement, and I think that's where our relationship really broke down. Because when he called me and made the statement about he'd been cautioned, plush, nearby neighborhood, strong resident objection, I had told him that I was at a luncheon, and he said, well, just call me back. And I said, no, there are several people here that would be interested in what you have to say. So push comes to shove, we can get that statement corroborated. I really don't want to go there. This is not an adversarial situation, but this is in the wrong location. And I asked him to, please be open to considering other locations. So he's already, denied a statement that he made to me, and I requested a meeting, and Dr. Hashmi, to his credit, Dr. Hashmi was the only individual in the whole city that said, Christy, you're right, this is not correct, and I'll be glad to help you with it. So I note I get a copy. Mr. Godwin sends the artist's rendition of the facility. And the first thing I do is hearken back to Mr. Glick stating not once, not twice, but 3 times in the newspaper, 2 front page articles, Recyclers Depot will be completely enclosed. And so I asked him about that, and he said, well, partially enclosed. And I told him, I said, you need to be factual here. So the next statement I hear is, we're going to provide, I said to him, tell me about, you're not even bringing jobs to Paris. You're bringing this junkyard to my front yard, but you're not bringing jobs to town. And he said, oh, we're going to hire 4 or 5 people. And I said, minimum wage? And he said, oh, no, we're going to pay $12 to $20 an hour. Do the math, people. You don't even have to take your shoes off for this one. If he hires 5, not 4, if he hires 5 people and he hires them at $20 an hour, he's still almost $50,000 short of that $250,000 number that he threw out there. Now this is putting lipstick on the pig. I'm sorry, but let's at least get our facts straight. So then he talks about the $2 million that he's going to give in payout to the community from all of our recyclables. Instead of being, wow, that's great, I absolutely was horrified by that figure because of the sheer volume that it was talking about. Because, and this is a grossly oversimplified example, I will readily admit that. But at the current rate, these things change every day, but when I looked it up on the internet in Dallas, aluminum cans were being purchased at about 66 cents a pound. And it takes 34 cans to make a pound. In order to get to that $2 million figure, that's going to require over 100 million cans being intermittently shot into this container behind my house. Now, you work that down into, okay, what does that really translate to? Help me deal with a number that I can really get my head around. $100 million can, 100 million cans? That's over 8 million cans every month going through this facility. That's over 300 cans from every Paris resident, every man, woman, and child in this city would have to bring. It's a dozen cans per person every day. My dentist should be ecstatic about that figure. And so, now that's the low side, I will admit. So let's go to auto bodies.
Miss Wendell? I'm
Yes.
sorry, I apologize. I'm not trying to be rude and interrupt, but if we're here to address the council,
Okay.
please.
If you go to auto bodies, that translates to something like 20,000 cars a year to equal that $2 million figure. And so, granted, it's somewhere in between that, the 100 million cans and the 20,000 cars, but that's a lot of material. And frankly, I don't think this is a well-thought-out business model. First of all, they're telling us that, oh, we're bringing recycling to Paris. What's not to love about recycling? But they are not going to do paper. They are not going to do plastic. They are not going to do glass. They are simply going to do scrap iron and metal, and that's to feed the beasts that they operate in Texarkana, in my opinion. This is about how can we grow Dad's business in Texarkana. So, you know, I go through, and I've got a long list of these concerns, and I won't belabor the council anymore tonight on this, but there's some real credibility issues here. Not the least of which is, as soon as they got some rumblings that there was some dissatisfaction over this, there was a huge rush to let's start moving dirt. And there were several construction site violations that occurred as a result of that. Now, the city will tell you they weren't cited, but I brought these to Sean Napier's attention, and I asked Sean to red tag that job site until things like the building permit could be displayed, the silt fence could get in place. Friday, they got out and they hurriedly started moving dirt. Saturday and Sunday, we had rain most of the weekend. The little stream that runs next to this piece of property ran hot chocolate brown all weekend long. So I said, you've got things like silt fencing, you have water runoff issues. You're supposed to have a gravel driveway area so that when the construction vehicles leave the construction site, all the clumps of dirt and mud are left in the gravel rock, not brought out onto Lamar Avenue. That just got in place this afternoon about 4 o'clock. And so I think there was a rush to action here. I question personally the viability of the business model. Seriously, driving 3 hours and 200 miles and in 18-wheeler, semis. How cost effective can that be? But that's not my problem. That's their problem as the business. But it is my concern because where are we, a year from now, if this business model doesn't come to fruition and we are left with this empty recycling site. So I want to make sure, I ask the Glicks to please be open to considering another location, a good location, to be kept whole on their out-of-pocket cost. We actually have a number of sites in town that would be improved by Recyclers Depot being located on their site. So as you can tell, I have a whole host of concerns, but I'm going to be quiet and take my seat now, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Wendell. Anyone else wishing to speak? Ms. Jordan?
My name is Brett Holbrook. I live at 4125 Holbrook in Morningside. And I'd like to, first off, thank the mayor and Dr. Hashmi. I'm sure they're both tired of hearing from me on this so far, but they've been quick to answer my questions and address my concerns. If I may, I think I spoke to you on the phone today, yeah, and echoing most other people who have spoken tonight, I'm 100% in favor of the Glicks bringing business to Paris and especially a recycling facility. As with everyone else, I just don't want it in my front porch. I can hear the fans, the dryers spinning up from the car wash from my house, and while that's not offensive, I think intermittently shooting cans into a bin would probably outpace that in decibels. But you made the comment that you want to go forward with your project, and if the city doesn't allow you to, you'll have no choice but to seek alternative remedy. That sounds like he's saying that if you don't let him do this, he's going to sue you, and that sounds like a threat to me. And I don't know about people in Texarkana, Arkansas, but people around here don't like being threatened. Having said that, if I were in your shoes and had been given a permit and it looked like I was going to lose that permit and not be able to do business, where I was told by the city that I could do business, I would probably say the same thing. Now, Mr. Godwin has owned up to this. He has placed the liability for this on the city by saying we made the mistake. But this came hot on the heels of Cave Wave and My Dentist. And all of those went through the proper channels and according to city rules. How did this get this far and not have to go before the council, not have to go through P&Z to the point where they're moving dirt and they're in it for $250,000? How did that happen? It seems, if nothing else, all of the city computers and the forms were printed and everything was ready because you just finished it with Cave Wave and with My Dentist. So how does that happen? By the way, can we rename that creek Hashmi's Creek? Is that what we call that now? Anyway, I'm serious. I'd like to know how that happens when you've already gone through the right processes with 2 high-dollar construction processes or programs just before this, and now all of a sudden this comes in. I've been talking about it since June. We just found out about it. So how does that happen? Would anyone like to answer that?
I don't have an answer. I don't. Sean Napier did, well, let me back up. I know a little bit. My Dentist is an office, obviously, and that's on the list of land uses for commercial. Car washes are specifically on the list of land uses for car washes. So did they have to go to the planning and zoning for hearing for some purpose?
Plating did.
Plating, okay, so it was plating, not...
The Cave Wave and this lot were platted at the same time.
Okay.
So
2012.
So Cave Wave had to go through P&Z for plating, but Recyclers Depot did not. Is that what you're saying?
Both lots were platted at the same time.
I see. Okay, that's fair enough. Well, I think it goes without saying that there are a lot of people who are not opposed to the business, but are opposed to the location. I was at the meeting the other day. I think the Glick brothers made it perfectly clear, and as I have quoted Ben tonight, makes it perfectly clear that he intends to be able to operate his business at that location. And if he's not able to, due to a mistake, if you want to call it that, by the city, then he's going to sue. So I know that the city has insurance to help protect it from that. I think, as Mr. Palmer said, this may be a $250,000 spanking that the city's going to have to take, but you can't just consider their feelings. You have to consider the feelings of the people who live in Morningside, who own the Cave Wave, who own My Dentist, who own the jewelry store, just bought that property and is fixed to go in. Everybody has to be considered in this. Just like Christy said, I'm not a Rotary, but I know that is this in the best interest of everyone? Clearly, it is not. The Glicks, who I have no reason to believe are anything but good guys, they come up here and they use flowery words like human capital and reinvestment in the community, and they do that in order to sway public opinion. That's what they do, and they're good at it. I mean, kudos to them. But at the end of the day, we have to consider what it's doing to the property values of the people in Morningside. And as Mr. Ressler alluded, there may be liabilities on that side too when it comes out that people in that area whose property values are damaged have no other recourse than to seek reparations from the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening. My name's Bruce Carr. I live at 845 42nd Street Southeast in the Morningside Addition. I have about 6 or 7 concerns about this project, but since it is going to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission, I'll save those concerns for that particular meeting. I would say, though, I have a background in industrial logistics, and I think a fairly compelling case can be made that this operation is not only a drop station, it's a transfer point, It's a sorting and segregating operation, and that taking all those things into consideration, a fairly compelling case can be made that this really is a light industry. I'll talk more about that before the Planning and Zoning Commission. In conclusion, I would like to say that I think that recycling is the right thing. This is just the wrong place. And I would urge the council to listen to Mrs. Etherly's suggestion that you put a hold on this project till we can sort through all this. I think there have been enough mistakes made, and we don't want to continue to perpetuate the process. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to make these comments to you this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Anyone else wishing to speak? If not, I'll turn it back to the council. Dr. Hashmi, you had something?
Yes, Mr. Frierson. At this point, I'd like to make a motion that this building permit be immediately rescinded.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor from Dr. Hashmi. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Lancaster. Any further discussion on this?
Could we postpone the decision on this until we hear from our legal counsel, since there are legal ramifications to this motion?
I understand that, but I've made the motion and I'm going to stick to my motion.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please, if you could just hold your applause down so we can continue in the most expeditious manner possible. Kent, would you like to comment on the legal ramifications?
Certainly. City Council, I would like to give you all, I am your legal counsel, and I would like to give you some legal advice on this situation in executive session, if you'd like to hear it. I think I would like to give it to you before you take a vote or on this action. There are things to consider and discuss, and I feel like I need to make you aware of them at least more fully and give you a chance to ask me any legal questions you might have before you do that.
Okay. Any further discussion on this?
I do. If you're suggesting that we send it back to P&Z, is that correct?
That's correct. That's what the ordinance requires.
That's what it requires?
Yes, sir.
So can we revoke it? I mean, is that in our authority?
Well, it was issued in error, so you could certainly make the argument that it's not a valid permit to begin with.
And so then they could still request it through P&Z next week?
Correct.
But if it hasn't gone through the proper channel of planning and zoning, doesn't construction have to stop anyway?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think, and again, I didn't give a good answer to the lady earlier because I wanted to hear what the lawyer had to say. I think, again, the permit was issued in error, so I think the argument would be that it's not a valid permit. So it's not necessarily a matter of revoking it, although certainly if the council wants to do that to make it clear that the council supports doing that, so that tomorrow we're not arguing about it or debating about it. So I'm fine with doing that. If the council chooses to do so. Again, that's not stepping on the city attorney's toes, but I think you can make a very good argument that I think these folks all would. We made a mistake issuing it, so therefore it's not a valid permit anyway. So by revoking that permit, you're not doing anything untoward.
Well,
you're just
could
basically
we ask,
accepting.
could we ask if the Glicks would be amenable to a voluntary cessation of any further dirt work on the site, to give us a few weeks to let this go through the proper channels?
That's a point I would like to make. Thank you, Doctor.
Well, I understand Dr. Hashmi's point. I see the point of view there, I guess, for me. If it has to go back to follow the ordinance through planning and zoning and they have to stop anyway, I respectfully understand keeping the motion out there, but I would prefer to hear the legal counsel before I supported that motion. I don't know. I just don't know what the other side of the coin holds, and that creates uncertainty for me, and I certainly don't like that.
If the Glicks are willing to accept a temporary cessation, agree to a cessation of work on the site until the zoning issue is resolved, then that satisfies my concerns.
Plug, is that something you guys hate to, okay. Mr. Glick.
We want to act in good faith with the city, but unfortunately it costs us a lot of money every day to shut down. We look forward to expediting this through planning and zoning and getting some clear resolution, but, being in business, it's hard to ask us to throw away thousands of dollars a day.
Understood. Okay.
Can we, by any chance, move the convening the executive session up, and we do it right now?
You can.
I would like to say one thing though. There is a motion on the floor and there is a second on the motion. You can, I'm sorry. There's a motion on the floor and there's a second on the floor. You can vote against it and terminate the motion and then go back in and discuss. But I think halfway through a motion, you can discuss it here, but I don't think the attorney will have to tell us whether it's legal to go into an executive session even at this point, once the motion's on the floor.
All right, let's vote on it.
Is it legal? Can we go into executive session? Is that legal?
Yes, sir.
Right now?
Well, I mean,
Before we vote.
there is a motion and second on the floor from a parliamentary position. Unless that motion is withdrawn, it needs to be acted on.
Okay. Any further
So
discussion?
you're asking that we delay that vote until we meet?
No.
Until we go
No,
back to...
No, he's saying unless Dr. Hoffman
He
wants to
won't rescind
withdraw.
it, we gotta vote on it right now.
Right. And then we can go into executive session before moving to the next item. So, any further discussion? Dr. Hoshmi, the motion on the floor is to rescind.
Rescind the permit, which was wrongly issued. The permit needs to be rescinded.
Okay. There's a motion and a second from Ms. Lancaster. Without any further discussion, all those in favor of rescinding the permit, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. Okay. Motion carries 4-3. Now, before we move on to, are there any other motions to be made on this? Do we need to refer this to planning and zoning? Is that the recommendation at this point, that it still needs to go
Yeah,
back?
I mean, if you don't make that motion, we will still do it, but I'd like you to go on record as taking that action, if you would, please.
Is there any other?
Then I'll make a motion that this be turned over to P&Z.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
And a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of sending this back to planning and zoning, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Now,
And again, tentatively, that meeting is scheduled for next Tuesday at 5:30, Sean, or 5 o'clock, it's being 5:30 next Tuesday. So that's not for sure, but that's the tentative time. So we will get that word out as soon as we have that finalized sometime tomorrow.
I need a clarification. So as of right now, they will not be doing any further construction.
That is correct.
Thank you.
okay, without any further items, any further action on this item, we'll move on to item number 13. Ms. Ellis?
Do we
Discuss, conduct, to be continued.
still need we're gonna wait till the meeting, okay?
That's okay.
So there's no point in us meeting in executive session?
Not anymore. Not
Okay.
now. Not until later. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on item number 13, and I realize you're leaving. Please respect the rest of the meeting and the council itself. Ms. Ellis, please.
Item 13, discuss, conduct public hearing, and act on a resolution authorizing the submission of a Texas Community Development Block Grant application to the Texas Department of Agriculture for water, sewer, and street improvements.
Okay.
This is
Mr.
just,
Godwin?
yeah, I'll just jump in. This is periodically the CDBG, which is a federal program, which is administered by the state. We're eligible for grant amounts. This is a grant for $275,000. Require us to match it with $55,000. And as it says here on your slide, we're talking about Dixon Street and Orange Street, doing water, sewer, and street work on Dixon, and then 740 feet, it's about a third of a mile of 21-inch sewer on Orange Street. Again, these are federal funds. A public hearing is required by federal law and by state law, so that if anybody wants to speak for or against this, they can. So it is a public hearing.
Mr. Frierson,
Yeah.
can we take a 2-minute break? Just so that it clears.
Hopefully we'll let this out.
let's just go, come on.
Sean,
I don't want a break.
let's just go.
All right.
Sean.
Yes, the announcement for this grant recipient will be in August 2015, and it will be awarded in 2 different cycles, the first of which would be November 2015, the second November 2016. So in all likelihood, in talking to your consultant on this, Charles Edwards, some of you may know, he said it looks in all likelihood we will get approved since we're not approved in the last cycle. It's just a matter of which cycle we'll be approved in. So our match will not be possibly needed until the following budget year or the year after that. So the $55,000 match will not be needed until that point in time. I'm glad to answer any questions you may have. Yes, ma'am.
Those streets again are,
Dixon Street between 9th and 11th Northwest, and then a portion of 11th Street we're going to have to redo because of the sewer is not deep enough, and that'll be water, sewer, and street overlay. And then Orange Street, if you're not familiar with Orange Street on
I am,
4th Southwest.
it's pretty bad.
Yes, ma'am. A really large sewer line down there.
Okay, good.
Sean, does this differ from our previous application that was denied, or?
This is the same application
Same
because it has to be in
application.
a low to moderate income area with your census data, which we've already done that legwork.
Okay.
Any other questions from Mr. Napier or any of the rest of the staff?
I'll make the motion to approve.
We have to do a public
Oh, we have a
hearing
public,
first.
sorry.
So with that point, with no other questions, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this item, please come forward. With no one speaking, we'll close the public hearing. I'll take a motion on this item. Dr. Hashmi, did you want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second.
Okay, we've got a motion from Dr. Hashmi and a second from Ms. Lancaster. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Ellis, item number 14, I believe.
Discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance considering the petition of Paris Church of Christ for a change in zoning from Planned District, which is a retail shopping center in the Planned Development Zoning District, to General Retail District on Lot 1, Block A of the Paris Church of Christ Edition, CB 296, located at 3175 Lamar Avenue.
Mr. Napier.
Well, Mayor, Council, I'm trying to fill in for Mr. Effortsy tonight. This particular item was brought to you from the Planning Zone Commission. This was approved by a vote of 6-0 to change this zoning. The church is trying to add on to their existing building. They're trying to add a 16 by 32 structure onto their existing sanctuary to add a fellowship hall. And this property was previously platted just last month, so this is the next step in that process.
Here we go, thank you.
And they did recommend approval.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Napier?
I have
Dr.
a question. Well, it said in here, it's kind of confusing that the church, there's a process to go through, but the church didn't want to do that. And to call this a retail shopping center seems kind of odd. Or general retail, they're not going to retail out of their fellowship hall, I don't guess. Not being anti-church, I
Right.
just don't know why do we make this exception for them, or what happens the next time?
Well, actually, the future land use map calls for this area to be general retail, so they're actually following the future land use map for this property. And then also the neighboring properties also shows to be general retail on the future land use map. So actually changing the zoning from what it currently is now, which is the PDA, which is retail shopping center, to a general retail. And churches can fit into, I think, almost every single zoning except for a couple.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Napier? No?
Make the motion.
Do the public hearing. At that point, we'll go to the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this item, please come forward. Mr. Fulmar.
Mike Fulmer, I'm an elder of the church there. We simply want to expand, and the current zoning, the way it is, we would have to spend a lot of money to put such a small add-on to our facility there. And so if we make the change to the zoning as to what the whole future land use is supposed to be anyway, I'd appreciate your support for that. And looks like in P&Z, we got a lot of things we need to start changing zoning on.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing and take a motion on this item.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Dr. Hashmi. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Mr. Plata. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15.
Discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance considering the petition of Mike and Stephanie Hall for a change in zoning from a one-family dwelling district number 2 to a one-family dwelling district number 3, adding a specific use permit, 39 mobile home on Lot 1, Block A of the Hall Addition, CB 154, located at 1190 Southwest 6th Street.
Mr. Napier?
Yes, sir. This particular item, just as Janice mentioned, is changing the zoning from a single-family 2 district to an SF3 to allow mobile home with a specific use permit. That specific use permit is good for a period of 5 years for the mobile home. This is the second time the Halls have been before you, or actually third time, including the plat. They did change the zoning to single-family 2 just this past year, and also platted the property, which they own majority of the land around this area. I think they own everything but the property to the west, which is owned by Union Pacific Railroad, and a small piece that's owned on the northeast side. But what they're wanting to do is to build or move in a mobile home onto this lot. And if you saw where this lot was, it's Washington Street area across from George Wright Homes to the south. And it's almost in the middle of about a 25, 30 acre tract where they're wanting to place this mobile home. They're actually having to get an access easement that's platted across another lot from 6th Street, 6th and Brown, I believe, west to where this site's going to be. Majority of this lot that they're wanting to place this on, Lot 1, is in a floodplain, so there's very little buildable area on this particular lot itself. P&Z did recommend this on a slim margin of a 4-3 vote that it be approved. One of their concerns was they want to put together a committee to come back to City Council to look at revising the entire mobile home ordinance. And our ordinance does not kind of meet some of the same standards that meet state law, federal laws as far as manufactured home, mobile homes. And we want to try to get that more in line, or P&Z does, more in line with state and federal law as to how it should read, and kind of model those laws with our ordinance. Kind of a side note there, but.
Okay. Questions?
Yes. First of all, I want to tell you that, the description in the thing that we got, it's very confusing. On the one hand, it says it doesn't fit. On the other hand, it says it should be approved. It was very confusing. I think if we could have some better grammar there so that we get a better understanding. Maybe I didn't understand it properly, but there was some concerns that I had when I read, because I couldn't make up my mind initially that what are we doing. The second thing that I want to ask is, currently, though we may not have adopted those laws, what are the state and federal laws that you're talking about?
Really,
do they allow it, or do they not allow it, or what is?
Allowing is our own ordinance. What we're trying to follow is what can go into those.
And that's what I mean. Is it allowed by state law and federal law, or is it not allowed by state law?
Yes, it is. I guess what that law goes back to is what is considered a mobile home, what is considered a manufactured home. And those laws are very clear, such that mobile homes fall under HUD code and have to follow those codes during construction. Manufactured housing has to follow our current building codes. And the difference between the two is usually, I think a mobile home has a permanent chassis with wheels that you take off, typically put underpinning on. A manufactured home has a temporary chassis, and usually is in one or more pieces. That being slimmed down part of the major differences between the two, which our ordinance needs to take into account. That it currently does not, but our ordinance right now is kind of wide open as far as allowing.
So currently, by the ordinance we have in place right now, it is allowed?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Sean, does will this mobile home connect to our city sewer line, or will they be building a septic tank on wetland?
No, actually, there is a sewer line just behind the property. It dissects the property because it is in a floodplain, and so it's where typically sewers run near there. So there's actually a larger diameter sewer line, probably no more than 100 feet from where they're wanting to place a mobile home. Water will be the main issue, but they're just going to run a service line to it.
But there's no concern about, we're not going to tell them that they have to connect to sewer?
Oh, no,
it's just left
they've already
there?
agreed to.
Okay. And that's in writing in this permit?
It will be when they do that.
Okay.
But aren't there houses pretty close to around there?
The closest houses are going to be over at 6th and Brown in that area. I believe there's a mobile home over there as well. Just west of the county jail. in that area is where we're talking about. This area is well, if you drive by it, you wouldn't notice it because it's all pretty much wooded in a floodplain area. And they're wanting to place the mobile home adjacent to the floodplain area behind a tree line from 6th Street would be the only place you could see it from. You can't see it from Washington Street.
Are the owners here?
I don't see it, no, sir.
Any other questions of Mr. Napier?
Can I ask a question? Several years ago, we addressed mobile home, but was it mobile home parks that we addressed at that point?
We started to, but we didn't.
We didn't, oh, okay. So
I thought,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sean, I was on the planning and zoning whenever, me, myself, Bill Harris, there was a few of us that formed the committee. We had a mobile home ordinance.
It was taken to council several years ago, and it was never acted upon.
Never acted upon.
Are they, I'm just curious, why are they so fixated on having it there or moving it back and forth so that it accommodates? I mean, they just own it and they want to place it somewhere? Is that the deal, or that's what I wanted to ask them?
Well, I think they've owned livestock and had a lot of horses around there, and I think they're just wanting to be
close to them.
There with their livestock, yes, or horses.
Just one other thing about, because you don't see specific use permits very often, and I don't think Sean mentioned this. If he did, I'm sorry. This has an expiration period of 5 years. So if that makes any difference one way or another to you too, just so you know, that's.
Oh, so they'd have to
they'll have to reapply at the end of that 5th year if they want to continue that building there, yes.
That was written in the thing.
Which at that point, if planning and zoning goes through their committee process, then things may change.
That would have to be taken
5
into
years from now.
account.
Okay.
Sean,
Any other, Ms. Lancaster?
fairly recently in planning and zoning, didn't we agree, or didn't you agree that they were going to have a committee to look at mobile homes placed in Paris? And then I never heard that anything happened.
Yes, ma'am, that is true.
So it just died?
I think so.
Well, things need to quit dying. Let's get some of this done so we don't have these questions.
Any other question on this item? Yes.
If we had gone through that thing that Mr. Plata is talking about, Mr. Plata, what was the outcome? Would this have been allowed at that point if that was acted on, or what would have happened?
It would have been harder to place a mobile home in Paris. It was allowed, but real hard to do.
Okay.
I believe the ordinance, Dr. Ashby, would have created zones, areas for mobile homes and mobile home parks, so they could be congregated in certain areas throughout Paris.
And if we were not to allow it, we have an ordinance, and if we were to oppose it, where do we stand on this, that why are we not doing it when the ordinance allows it? I want to know what is the standing on that. Because, I mean, we have an ordinance that allows it, right?
Well, this is a zoning change. It's not allowed in the existing zoning. So the owners of the property are asking you to change the zoning so that it will be allowed. And you can either say yes or no to that.
But that's what I'm saying. What is our legal ground to say no? Let's just say for that.
You're not ever required to change somebody's zoning.
Okay.
That's a judgment call that you get to make as the elected officials if you think it's a good idea to change the zoning or not.
But just to be clear, planning and zoning agreed to pass this zoning change, and staff recommends by a 4-3 margin, yes, sir.
Yeah, it was
Right.
it was a close margin.
Yes,
There
ma'am.
was a lot of
But
discussion.
majority counts, though.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. I mean, that's the answer to the question there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then staff.
Maybe.
I'm sorry.
I wanna say I have nothing against mobile homes. Actually, I lived in one of myself for a while, but I want to say there is a place for them, and it's not amongst houses and stuff. If you, I always said, if you take a snapshot of Paris from on top, or you bring somebody in, what do you want to see? You want to see houses, even if they're a little run down, or you want to see houses with mobile homes spotted amongst them? That just doesn't. If you want your city to go forward, and want to be able to present a nice city, you wouldn't want mobile homes in amongst residential areas. That's all I'm saying.
And yeah, your point's taken. I guess my only thought process behind that is, if this is for a finite window, does it give planning and zoning an opportunity to get off High Center to address that longer term and bring it back at the 5-year mark, and maybe the circumstances are different at that point? It's a question, but I think a valid one if.
Well, as Mr. Fulmer said, they've got a lot of work to get going on.
Well, they've got 5 years on this one.
Well, if it's approved.
Do we want to wait 5 years to get a decision on whether or not we put mobile homes in our city or in specific spots in our city? I don't think putting it off for 5 years, that's just kicking can down the road.
I'm going to make a motion that what Mr. Pilata was saying, I go along with that.
What is?
The motion is that it not be allowed within the, not be allowed, the zoning change may not be allowed.
I'll second.
Because of exactly the reason that he says. Don't
Okay.
want mobile homes within the.
Okay, so the motion is to deny the zoning change with a motion
I'm
from
not
Dr.
wishy-washy.
Hoshman.
Very clear.
Just to clarify, you haven't had your actual public hearing yet, in case anybody wants to
Sorry.
speak, so.
Sorry.
I got caught up in Dr. Hoshman's motions. That being said, we'll open the public hearing. Thank you, John. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this item? If not, we'll close the public hearing. And now, Dr. Hoshman, would you like to restate your motion?
Yes. The motion states that this request be denied.
Okay. Got a
I'll
motion
second.
to, zoning change, second from Mr. Pilato. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So, motion carries. Okay, Ms. Ellis.
Discuss,
Item-
conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance considering the petition of Paris Lakes
I
Medical
thought that was
Center.
withdrawn.
It says withdrawn.
Yeah, well, she's just reading it, yeah, we can cut to the chase.
Skip it.
Yeah, we can pass over that item, because that has been withdrawn by the applicant. Now, just for public consumption, that doesn't mean they're going away. They're going a different approach on this. So but this specific action is gone away. You don't have to open it, close it, table it, deny anything. You can just pass over to the next agenda item.
We have actually already received the new zoning case.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Friesen, can I just speak for 1 second? That was a good description on the mobile home. Thank you. It helps.
Ms. Ellis?
Okay, item 17, discuss and act on a historic preservation tax exemption agreement with Steve and Laura Harper on property located at 134, 136, 138, 140 North Main for a period of 7 years.
All right.
I assumed Sean was going to talk about that, but he seems to be walking away.
Oh, Mr.
Oh,
Sneaker.
Joey is okay.
I didn't see him sitting in the crowd.
The Harpers bought the property, this is basically across from the courthouse county, I think it's a carpet store. They bought the property in 2013 and went through proper channels with the Historic Preservation Commission, got their permits, did their work, and got a certificate of occupancy between 2013 and 2014. Now, based on the Historic Preservation, the rehabilitation and renovation of historic structure, the ordinance, they're requesting a tax exemption for the work that they've done for their building.
And I was actually at that meeting, but that motion passed unanimously, that the commission agreed this all fits the criteria set out, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any discussion from the council?
I'll make the motion.
Wait, can I ask just one question for clarification? It is simply the improvements that we are abating.
I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's the difference in value of the property between before the renovation and after the renovation.
Yes.
So it all kind of
That's
runs over
what I was
to,
asking.
it all kind of runs over to the appraisal
Yes,
district council.
yeah,
calculate that,
okay.
but-
All right. Any other discussion? Dr. Hashmi, did you
I'd
want
make
to
the
go ahead and
motion
make that
to
motion?
pass.
All right. Got a motion from Dr. Hashmi. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Lancaster. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 18. Ms. Ellis.
Receive, discuss, and act on the annual audit of the Paris Economic Development Corporation for fiscal year 2013-14.
Mr. Grubbs and Ms. Barentine. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging with us.
Good evening.
Good evening. As you have before you is our approved annual audit for the PEDC for the fiscal year 2013-14. We're proud to say that there were no deficiencies found by McClanahan and Holmes, and the PEDC board adopted it unanimously January 13th, 2015.
Okay, any questions from the council of Ms. Barentine or Mr. Grubbs?
I have two questions.
Okay, Dr. Hashmi?
Ms. Barentine, if you can come to page number 6, and maybe Jean may be the person to answer this, but I'll ask. I'm going to read this, number 1, where it says deposits and investments. Cash and cash equivalents are considered to be cash on hand, demand deposits, and short-term investments with original maturities of 3 months or less from the date of acquisition. Statute authorizes PEDC to invest in obligations of U.S. Treasury, direct obligations of the state of Texas, other obligations guaranteed or insured by the state of Texas or the United States, obligations of states and political subdivisions of any state meeting criteria, rating requirements, certificates of deposits, and fully collateralized direct purchase agreements having a defined termination date. Investments are stated in market value. Now, if you go to page number 7 of this, and it says investment at September 30th, 2014 are invested in Lone Star Investment, $390,902, and Texas Class 285,912. These investments are reported to the bank accounts as cash and cash equivalents. Investments in the Lone Star Investment Pool and Texas Class Investment Pools are not insured or guaranteed by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation or any other government agencies. Are they not contradictory statements?
No, sir. They're not insured by a federal protection agency, but they have pledged securities, dollar for dollar, that guarantee them.
So what we are saying on page 6 and page 7 are legally correct?
Yes, sir.
We're sure about that.
Yes, sir. It's
Oh.
yeah. These particular investment pools were created by state law specifically for these kind of entities. In fact, you know, the city of Paris has the right to use one. We are not using one currently, but we could, and we're required by state law, just like they are, to have them collateralized.
Okay, that answers my question.
Any other questions from the council? Discussion?
Actually, one last thing.
Okay.
I again want to read the last page, which they have written, and they wrote it last time too, and I wonder why they write this, where it says, can't find the exact page, but you know where it says that this is not done by standard auditing practices. Why do they keep writing that statement?
They're making a statement. If you're going to present financial statements under generally accepted accounting practices in the United States, you have to include certain things in the report. One of the things that isn't included in the report specifically is a management discussion and analysis letter, and they've talked about doing one of those, but they never have actually, done that. I think that's probably the only thing that's keeping them from being able to, to take that statement out.
And is there any particular reason why we don't do that? I mean,
We can't get Gene to do it for us.
okay.
Well, yeah, I'm not management for PEDC, so I don't really feel like it's my place to do that, or that I should be doing it. But when they hire a new executive director, that would be who I would expect to write it.
Okay. But that once that goes in, then they will not be writing that
I
statement.
think that's the only thing holding it up. If in a few weeks or so, you'll be seeing the City of Paris audit, and we have a MD&A letter in there that I write, for the city, but, I'm part of the management for the city.
It would be nice to have that, just so that in future, there's another council member, somebody doesn't question it again, that what is the, significance of that.
If I may, you're right. It does appear in every audit that I've seen on the PEDC, and we would like to have that removed. So we'll look forward to that when it happens with the new director.
Okay, that was the only other comment I have.
Any other discussion amongst the council? If not, I'll take a motion on this item.
I'll make the motion.
Motion from Dr. Hashmi
Second.
to approve, second from Mr. Piggle. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item 19.
Receive,
Ms.
discuss, and act on proposed amendments to the Paris Economic Development fiscal year 2014-15 budget to fund the plan of work for fiscal year 2014-15.
Ms. Barentine.
Again, we need a budget amendment to fund our plan of work, which is the next item on your agenda. So just the order of business would be that you need to fund it before you actually adopt a plan of work. So with that in mind, the balance that, to do the plan of work as proposed by the board, the balance that we need to fund is $31,500. There is already job training dollars in the budget of $35,000. So that brings us to the amount that we need to go with our plan of work, which is a total of $59,500, which you will consider in the next item.
Okay. Any questions, Ms. Barentine, on this? Any other discussion from the council?
I want to say one thing, though, that I think it was good to see, because I think there was more information provided on this item than we needed, but it was good to see that your advertising expenses, et cetera, are within your required things this time. So that's good.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from the council? Take a motion on this item.
I'll make the motion.
Motion from Dr. Hashmi. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Pickle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item 20.
Receive, discuss, and act on the Paris Economic Development Corporation's plan of work for fiscal year 2014-15.
Before you is our plan of work that the board again passed unanimously on January 13, 2015. It consists of 4 goals. The first goal is secure primary jobs through industrial recruiting and business retention expansion. Goal 2 is strengthen our local education and workforce training programs to meet employer needs. Goal 3, strengthen Paris EDC's operations. And Goal 4 is marketing airport as industrial site ready. And you will see in the body of the plan of work is our action steps for each of those goals. And the proposed budget for each goal. Goal 1 was $15,000. Goal 2 was already funded with the job training budget, but we're estimating the job training budget is $35,000, but we're considering it probably be about $28,000. And Goal 3 is $6,500, with Goal 4 being $10,000. Going back to Goal 2 is our Certified Work Ready Communities program, and that is testing all of the juniors and seniors in Lamar County this year. And that is through the Work Keys test that actually is done through Paris Junior College. They actually can make it mobile, take it to each of the 5 school districts in Lamar County. And Paris ISD has already tested 80 so of these seniors for PISD, and they're really excited of the results that they got for that training for workforce. So it's an education program on our part to get the school districts to understand that the EDC is committed to pay the $28 per student to have them assessed as a senior this year and a junior, and then we'll assess them again next year on the senior level. So we're working with that, trying to get that done this year. So that's why the $28,000 is budgeted for that item.
Okay.
I have a question, Shannon, if I might. So that test is administered to seniors who have voluntarily heard about this and maybe have no college plans and wish to graduate and get into the local workforce immediately? Is that after whatever training that y'all
Actually, it's both. Actually, it's a portable certificate, so it can go with them to those who want to go to college. But yes, it tells them what level they are to get a job right now. And our industry is coming along to tell us what are the scores and levels that need to be on the current positions they have available at different industries. But we're working with the counselors. And yes, it's voluntary at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Ms. Barentine or Mr. Grubbs?
Did you people prepare it yourself, or was there a consultant who did it?
No, it's through ACT, which is the pre-college entrance exam. It's through them, but it's called Work Keys. And
No, I'm talking about the whole plan.
Oh, the whole plan? The board did it.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And that was a great question. It was a combination of the board's efforts. We actually scrubbed and re-scrubbed the work plan over and over again this year before we brought it to you. We also thought it was really important that we assign dollar limits to each budgetary goal. so that in the interest of transparency and so that we knew that our budget was appropriately set, that we established a dollar limit or dollar threshold for each goal for this coming year.
Thank you. That's what we've been talking about, and that's what one of my complaints was, that we hired consultants, but that's very nice. I think that's great.
Any other discussion? If not, I'll take a motion on this item.
I'll make the motion.
Motion from Dr. Hashmi. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Pickle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your
both.
time. Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right. Ms. Ellis, item 21.
Conduct a public hearing, discuss and act on an ordinance amending City of Paris Reinvestment Zone 2013-1 for residential tax abatement to include areas in City Council Districts 6 and 7, providing for eligibility requirements for tax abatements and providing requirements for tax abatement agreements.
Mr. McKillier, you want to expand on this?
On October 14, 2013, the City Council passed Ordinance 2013-036, creating a reinvestment tax abatement zone number 2013-1 for residential tax abatement. Recently, after studying the first year's results, the City Council decided to ask for District 6 and 7, Council District 6 and 7 to be included in that reinvestment zone. We've brought back a new reinvestment zone, number 2015-1, which includes the entire city limits for that purpose.
I won't make a motion now because it's a public hearing.
Okay. Okay. Is there discussion amongst the council at this point? No? If not, we'll move to the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this item, please come forward and let your feelings be heard. If not, we'll close the public hearing and go back to any other discussion from the council, questions, feelings, anything?
I just have a question. Has there been much usage of this program in districts 1 through 4 since that ordinance was passed?
There was
1 through 5.
Right, 1 through 5. There was some participation. I think we had approximately 8 projects that were either underway or finished in districts 1 through 5, and I think they were all new houses, new residential structures. We didn't get any remodel or significant renovation projects yet.
I thought we did have a couple of remodels too.
Not on this program. I think under the minor
That's on
home
the
loan
other
repair
one.
program, certainly we did, but not under the tax abatement.
Let me ask you a question. If the ones with the minor home improvement program, they can also apply for this abatement because otherwise their tax goes up, right? I mean, it's not a preclusion to it.
I don't think so. I'm not aware of any rules against that.
No, they can do both.
As long as their taxes are paid up and current.
So in moving this through District 6 and 7 as well, any new construction in the city is
Any new single-family residential construction or rehabilitation or renovation that exceeds 20% of the market or then appraised value of the building.
It's the same rules that were had
Same rules.
applied last time.
That's correct.
Right.
No changes in that.
No changes to that.
But in the spirit of when we did this last time, we were hoping that it would spur some growth in interlying areas, I
Yeah.
guess, for lack of a better term, that, we had hoped to develop population in the city, and now where we assume the majority of the newer home construction, we're going to just not get taxes on those for 7 years.
That's
5
true.
years, excuse me. Sorry. Not make an indication one or the other. I just think that's an interesting tax revenue that we're giving up. So I don't know if anybody feels differently or if anybody wants to make a motion.
Speaking
No-
from the District 6, my constituents would tickle to death.
Yes, it might. Not
So I'll make the
selfish.
motion and you can.
I'll second it.
Okay, have a motion from Mr. Pickle and a second from Dr. Hashmi. Any
I'll
other-
just say that at least 5 years afterwards, we'll be able to, I'll be more positive about it.
Okay. That being said, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, item 22?
Yes. Discuss and possibly act on a motion to transfer the monitoring, accountability, and responsibility of all tax abatement agreements from the Paris Economic Development Corporation to the City of Paris, and more specifically, the attorney for the City of Paris.
And Mr. Pickle, was this
Yes, this
your
was my
item?
item. for some reason, at some point, the city turned over the handling of all abatements to the PEDC. And the PEDC really shouldn't, in my opinion, shouldn't be responsible for the city's function. The city determines the abatements, and as a result, I think that the city should be responsible for monitoring those. I know that over the past several years, there's been a lack of monitoring, not just on abatements, but on incentive agreements also. And Mrs. Clifford has been active in getting all this, the incentives all in line, and started working on the abatements. But that's really not the PEDC's job. The abatements are given by the city. The entities that are requesting abatements come before a committee made up of Mr. Godwin for the city, Judge Superville for the county, and Dr. Anglin for the junior college, and makes requests for those. And then from the city standpoint, the city council is the one that makes the determination whether to give an abatement or not. So there's really no reason for the PEDC to be involved in this. I've discussed it with the members of the PEDC. I've discussed it with Ms. Clifford. I've discussed it with Shannon, and discussed it with Steve. And they've all left now, so I guess I'm on my
Ms.
own.
Clifford is still sitting here.
Well, I mean, except for Rebecca. Well, but except for her. And I think they're all in agreement with it, that it makes it's a sound practice. So I'm asking for the council to approve moving it back under the city.
And is there, I noticed on this, it would go under the attorney's office.
Yes, and the reason I put it under the city attorney is because if for some reason there is not, or there is an issue where they are not in compliance with the abatement agreements, it would become a legal issue that the city attorney would have to put them on notice that they're in violation of an abatement or not living up to the terms or whatever.
The attorney's office would monitor the compliance?
Compliance as well, yes, sir.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Edwin, there were three things actually which I have concerned about. You know, in one of the things on this page, it's written, evaluate best practices and pursue funding streams in addition, best practices, Tyler, Kilgore, etc.
Wait a minute, are you going?
I'm on a different page, but it says best practices from Tyler and Kilgore, which you had mentioned too.
Oh, yes.
Who monitors it there? Because you said last time that their system is very good.
The Tyler situation is different because the EDC there is not involved in abatements whatsoever. The city monitors that completely.
In Tyler?
In Tyler. Kilgore, I don't remember. Rebecca, do you remember?
Can you please talk a little louder?
I believe in Tyler, Mr. Mullins monitored it on behalf of the city, which is on their economic development, and in Kilgore, they do monitor it for the
Days meaning?
The EDC, but they have a staff, more than one person or two people, or they have sizable staffs. Well, we saw them, quite a few.
Okay, so that would be one question that I had. Then the second question that I have is that I understand what you're saying, but EDC still remains more in contact with the businesses, with Campbell Soups, with Kimberly Clark or other businesses. And you know, whenever they come for abatements or incentives, they still come to them. At least from what I have seen in the last 3-4 years, I've never seen a very close relationship between Campbell Soup and our city attorney. and so I was
Well,
just wondering,
but-
I mean,
but-
wouldn't
well,
it be,
and
I mean, let me just,
okay.
so wouldn't it be better that it be monitored by the people who communicate with each other better than a third person coming in who, other than reading the contract and doing that, I just have a...
But they don't negotiate the abatements
No.
with the EDC. They negotiate it with,
Well, they still come through the EDC. Most of the time, they've always come through the EDC. They've never come to the city council directly that, well, are you going to do this for us? They always go through the city, they always go through the EDC. Even when the last time when Campbell Soup, they came, well, even we ourselves referred them back to EDC that, listen, go back to EDC, discuss it with them, and then bring it back to the council. Or the EDC came back to us with them saying that this is what we want to do, this is our suggestion. And even with that, the pearl thing or whatever, what was that? Those, you remember the beads company that we had that discussion that evening here?
Yeah.
They all came through PEDC.
the what?
Potter Industries.
Yes.
Oh, Potter.
Yeah.
Oh, beads.
Yeah,
Not
beads.
beads. Oh,
Whatever.
beads.
You know what I'm talking about.
Well, no, I do now.
So they came from there, and somehow or the other, I still feel that PDC will have a more friendlier attitude and a better atmosphere to conduct business with the businesses rather than the city coming and saying, I'm going to police you from today onwards. But again, these are just, I just feel that it is better coordinated through a PDC than...
I would agree that it could be. I will say that it has not been.
That is true.
And if somewhere down the road it becomes where it's advantageous to do that, so be it. But right now, I don't think that the PEDC is. I think you're putting too much on the members of the PEDC versus the staff of the PEDC.
And hopefully, Edwin, they will have people. But what I'm saying is, you're there now, and you had good ideas for it. And one of your ideas was to reorganize and do various things. And it seems to me that it has done better. Nobody is using their credit cards. People have formed the rules. They are following those rules. There are other things that are being followed by them. They didn't hire a consultant to bring the 4 points that they brought today. So I just feel that they're better off being with the compliance than we are. But I've said enough, whatever I wanted to say.
Well, and I disagree with you.
Okay,
And,
well,
and being involved with the PEDC, I think it keeps more continuity if it's within the city to monitor these abatements.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you a question. When I heard you speaking about stuff, but in my own mind, I think the EDCs are the ones that's in contact with them. They're the first ones that offer these people that. And if they don't have if they can't have any grounds to offer it, aren't you kind of crippling them?
No, they don't offer the abatements are run through, or they meet through the abatement committee. Not the incentives. Incentives, they come through the PEDC.
I got that, but
Okay.
I'm sure abatements are talked about when the EDCs are meeting with them. I'm sure they are.
Well, they're discussed, but then the ultimate deals are made through the city manager.
Well, sure.
And so that's why I'm saying ultimately it falls on the city manager and the city council. So ultimately, we are the ones that should be responsible for it.
So is your philosophy in this, because I assume the other entities are not, and you may not know that, are not recommending or pending a change the same way? But
You mean that Kilgore Tyler?
no, as far as like the junior college or the county, they're not going to this setup as well. My question is your philosophy here that it puts two sets of eyes on it for the city?
Yes.
Okay, so that for our interests, you've got someone at the EDC that's still making sure all the ducks are in a row for their entities, but then we have an extra check?
Yes.
That's what you're saying?
Yes, because we haven't had a check at all, and 5 years.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to get to the root. I mean,
Right.
if you're saying like, if
And that's
this
why-
is the fail-safe, that's what I'm trying to.
This is the fail-safe to make sure that ultimately the city council does our job to make sure that the abatements are done properly and that they are prepared properly and monitored
Okay.
on a consistent basis.
I mean, I still don't understand the reasoning, because the city manager is there. The city manager is there, and if we are wanting a double check, leave it with them and let the city manager watch it and see. It may not have been done for the last 5 years, but we've not had the city manager, we have not, I mean,
Well, okay,
it's been
wait,
reorganized and being.
If you're saying let the city manager look at it, then you're
No,
just.
no, I'm not saying the city manager look at it, but what I'm saying is, you cannot equate what happened in past 5 years and just decide to change it to our city attorney, because I just think that's a business unfriendly way. Again, this is just a personal opinion. I think we should leave it the way it is, and I think we should see whether we are still having the shortfalls next year. If we are still seeing shortfalls next year, we can always come back and say, okay, you know what, we watched it for a year and we are still lagging behind. But, I mean, you have interest in it, you are seeing it there. Matt has interest, he's seeing it there. I mean, I would hope that things will not be the same way as they have been before. And so, why unnecessarily now decide that the city attorney?
Well, it was originally, it was the city's function.
It may have been, but it's still, there was a reason somebody decided to change it to the EDC.
Because there was nobody here to do it.
Well, I mean, I think the city attorney has been here for a while. I mean, but this seems like you're changing. Is your ultimate intention that all of EDC should be brought into the city?
No, not at all.
Okay, but
Not at
then I don't understand the reasoning of doing it. I don't really, but.
Well, again, it's because it's not the PEDC's responsibility. They're not the ones that are making the ultimate decisions on abatements. But that impacts the city, and the city council is the one that makes the decision whether to give those abatements, not the incentives. And so we check it, we being the city, make sure that they are in compliance, monitor those agreements. The PEDC monitors their incentive agreements. There are some incentive agreements or abatements that the PEDC does not have any incentive agreements with. So why would they be involved in those at all? Because it's simply a contract between the industry and the city.
Benny.
So I can get a better understanding before I take action on something. Can I ask Ms. Clifford to come up so I can ask her something about the PEDC? But I don't want to take action on something that I don't.
No, that's fine.
I think Ms. Clifford may realize she should have left when the rest of us did a little bit ago. That's what happens when you stay behind. Try to be responsible.
I guess first off, I want to tell what we have been doing. Mr. Pickle and I have been working on compliance, and we have gone through the incentives and abatements and are going down the list, working on those together, being that he's representing the city and I was representing PEDC. And we have been doing this in conjunction with Shannon, that we've all three met at all times in order to do that, and that's what we currently have been doing in order for the companies to send in one set of data, because on all of these you're confirming jobs, you're confirming capital investment and so forth to make sure they're in compliance. So we've taken all of that and looked at it in the form of reviewing the incentive agreement and the abatement. And Mr. Pickle is right, there are a few abatements that do not have incentives, but a lot of them do have, I guess, the incentive and abatement. So that's kind of an overview of what we have been working with. And Mr. Pickle and I think we have worked on it, and we've actually agreed on most things, and which is surprising at most, but I think it's been a very good working relationship. I'll say it publicly, it has worked. So go ahead.
You mean with Mr. Pickle? Just kidding.
That's all right, I got big children.
But I mean, tomorrow's a different day. I don't know. Go ahead.
just so I have, and the way I'm looking at it, does the PEDC, I haven't been there, you have, and does the PEDC kind of work with businesses and lead people toward abatements and talk about abatements a lot? Is it necessary for them to
And I
have that?
questioned that when I first got on PEDC, but the way it would work is if a company came in and they wanted to come to Paris and they asked what the whole package could be, you offer, so when we have incentives, we can also help you go through the abatement process. There is a separate abatement committee that does meet, and PEDC, I believe, Mr. Godwin can confirm that, but I believe on most of the meetings, I know when Steve Gilbert was there, he was the one so much directing and making recommendations on what the incentives, what the abatement should be. And the city, the PJC, and the county they all discussed it.
Mr. Fryson, can I ask one question too?
Sure.
What is your feeling? How is it working with him and you? Is the system working or not working? Bottom line, are you happy with the way it's going right now?
Hunky-dory, yes.
All right, thank you.
It has worked. We each bring in a different, with his background in banking and so forth. We kind of look at the whole situation, and I think it has worked. We've looked at what compliance is needed to be to justify the abatement or the incentive, and it has been working. So,
are you trying to get out of work?
Yep.
Mr. Godwin.
Aren't we both?
He was gonna.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I don't have an opinion either way on this, but just to clarify a couple of things. One is, for quite a long time, PED kind of was supposed to do it and kind of didn't, as we know, for different reasons. Another thing that was different then than now is that the PEDC director, I don't know how far back that goes, if it was one director or two directors or all the directors, but when I got here, that director pretty much dealt with business prospects. And in fact, there were 2 or 3 times where he had meetings, the most recent director had meetings with this city council. And the council was like, we want to know more about it ahead of time, because the problem was a couple times they would come in, they'd already negotiated a deal, and if the council said no or renegotiated, it made you look like bad guys. And so a new policy was created. This was about a year ago, so 5 of you probably voted for this policy. New policy tried to do 2 things. One was, it said that this tax abatement committee, which was kind of on paper but never really met, should actually be more involved and meet directly with these potential businesses. And again, that's a 4-person or 5-person committee, including the chief tax appraiser and the executive director. So there's 5 of us on that committee. The policy also said that, just to be clear, PEDC would be responsible for monitoring agreements. And those are 2 different things, negotiating and monitoring, although they're related, obviously. And so that's kind of a new thing for about a year, I guess, or again, a year and a half. Some of y'all probably, hopefully 5 of y'all remember that kind of at least, or 4 of you. Part of the reason was, like Mr. Pickle's saying, everybody has their own agreement. The city has one, the county has one, PJC has one, but they're all exactly the same. And so the notion was have one person do it, then all 3 people do the exact same work, duplication of work. And ultimately, the county's not our problem, and the PJC's not our problem, so you can just say we just need to worry about our own. And that's the other side of the issue, which I think Mr. Pickle's making, is, we should, it's our money, we should be watching it ourselves rather than depending on somebody else. So again, I don't have any opinion, but just kind of clarification of what's happened in the last year and a half since I've been here anyway.
And that was kind of the background of having Mr. Pickle was the liaison, and so he is there representing you in doing his part in monitoring it.
I personally just think that if you're working fine, I don't know why we want to change.
Okay. Any other discussion? Is there a motion to be made on this item?
I'd like to discuss. It just seems to me that we already have now brought into better order. The EDC has a close working relationship with these companies, and it just seems like that would be a shame to break that up, both in the incentives and in the abatements.
And Shannon has been involved in every meeting that we've had regarding compliance, so that my replacement next year will step right in and go right on with. the compliance,
Yeah.
or whatever y'all choose to
Right.
do, or whatever you choose to do this year. But
And
we
then
have,
So wait,
I'm sorry.
so you're
Excuse
happy
me.
with the way the PDC is performing now?
Well, I think y'all have improved greatly, and I like the way it's going.
Okay.
The only thing I was going to say is part of the logic also here that we all have finite terms, and if you have a staff member, it's by and large a longer or bigger window of opportunity.
and that's why Shannon's been involved in it. We've all
Right.
three worked on it, kind of got a step of how we're going about it and a procedure so that none of us are signed on to it, there, that's why it's not just me making a decision or, not making a decision, but gathering the information then to bring back to the board. There is a procedure that we've gone through and hopefully, I guess since I wasn't really here, I don't, whatever. So whatever y'all decide to do, but that was the reason why we did it that way, and it's worked so far, but it's definitely up to you to decide what to do.
Is this an action item?
Yes.
I like you, but I'm going to make a motion that it be kept the way it is. I don't see any reason to change.
I'll second that.
We
have a-
still like you, come on.
We have a
You're
motion
doing a
and a
good
second.
job, we're telling
Motion
you.
from Dr.
I
Hashmi.
know, but
Little hard work, it's paying off.
So we have a motion from Dr. Hashmi and a second from Ms. Lancaster. Any other discussion? Now, for what it's worth, I'd like the second set of ayes. So just go out there.
well, then ask for a vote. Maybe we'll win.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Aye. There we go.
Dr. Grossnickel, that hand went up very slowly.
He's tired. We listened to a lot of citizens earlier, rightfully so. Okay.
Did that pass?
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes.
I thought it did, yeah.
Barely.
Barely.
4-3.
Well, 4-3.
That's what,
Sorry about that.
that's what we got into earlier. Okay, item number 23, Ms. Ellis.
Discuss rehabilitation of the Trail to Paris located east of Collegiate Drive.
And Mr. Plata, I believe you placed this item?
I did. I wanted to keep this on bring it back every so often. I'd like to somewhat encourage you, Mr. Godwin, to look for ways to come up with the money so we can try to at least, if you can't do all of it, half of it, something, because that trail is supposed to be an asset. And it's getting the time of year where a lot of people are going to be coming in and using that trail. And I walked it the other day. Me and my wife and myself, we walked it. It's walkable. I can't say it's not. And probably people going to run on it. But a person pushing a baby carriage and I would say some sorts of bicycles, it'd be terrible.
You should try riding a bicycle. Let me tell you. I just think that if we want, it's a good asset to Paris, Texas, and it's a good draw for people to come in here. So I just like to see an asset such as that to be kept up.
Yeah, just real quickly, in 2012, some money was set aside to do that section, and money got spent on some other things, as I understand. But we'll come back with kind of get some new pricing, some new plans, and bring you some back in the next month or two, some kind of proposal to do what we can do.
That'll work.
Okay.
Can we also consider, passing the bucket to some of the industries that have given and donated in the past to the trail and see if they're willing to contribute again toward the maintenance of what they helped create? I think it'd be a good idea.
Talk to the Friends of the Trail.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's
I'm sure Earl works that all the time.
Nope. Don't. Hush. Stop.
Is he trying to donate money?
No, he's trying to give away money that is not always there.
Okay, that's not an action item. Is there any other discussion on this? No? Thank you. Benny, for keeping us on the
Can I
block
ask
there.
you, what conclusion did we come, Mr. Plata, on this item? Are we going to relook and rebudget it next year? a
Well,
little more?
I'll bring you something back
No.
specific to talk about,
Okay.
specific numbers and specific lengths and
Okay.
specific type of work,
Right.
Okay.
maybe phasing or something, but.
Well, thank you all for letting me put it on there and listen to me about that. And if not, I don't hear nothing back in a month or two, you'll probably hear about it again.
Good. Item 24. Receive citizen input, discuss, and act on creation of a dog park.
I think all the citizens left.
Right. This was an
Oh.
item brought up last time, and as I understand it from reading the minutes and things like that, Dr. Hashmi asked that it be brought back to give the people the chance to speak. So there's no discussion from the council at this point. We'll ask if anybody would like to come forward and address the council.
I put my glasses on, I won't be able to read. First of all, I'd like to tell you, my name is Karen Shivers. I'm a resident of Lamar County. I live in Blossom. I'm also the current president of the National Association of Dog Obedience Instructors and the president of Texas Canine Association, which is located here in Lamar County. I have 3 of my board members with me tonight, and I'm probably going to talk to you as well. We were really concerned when we saw the ad in the paper that stated that y'all were considering a dog park. We just want you to know that we're not against a dog park, but we were concerned about, first of all, not having anybody, it stated we weren't going to hire anybody to overlook the dog park and maybe make that a citizen thing. And then the location, we were concerned about the location as well. And we don't think right now for the city of Paris there's enough education in responsible dog ownership to put that burden on the citizens. We also don't think there's enough education, excuse me, from the citizens to be able to handle the ins and outs of a dog park. We're not, like I said, we're not opposed to it. I don't know if any of you have done research on the statistics of dog parks or what they've done or what they do, but we have. And one of the things is it's great for the community. The pros of this is that it brings community members together. They come with their dogs, they're all nice, they get to talk to each other, they get to probably meet people that they would never meet before. And that's an advantage. The dogs get to socially interact with each other, that if they can be off a leash, they get to play, they get to do all things. And those are the advantages of a dog park. But that said, those dog parks had to be built specifically to be able to let that happen. And the location that you're asking for it is probably not going to do that. Next to one of the, I think the locations was by the city pool. You're going to have kids screaming and yelling, and that's okay, because that's what they do at a pool. It's great. But that creates aggression in dogs, especially if they're running back and forth by the fence lines. So anytime you put this in an area where there's going to be a lot of kids or a lot of stimulation for dogs, not going to be a good place. Okay? Disadvantages for people, especially if they don't know what's going on, is there can be aggressive dogs. There should be 2 areas, one for small dogs, one for large dogs. Big dogs can kill little dogs in seconds, and it's not pretty. Lawsuits from dog fights, people that don't know how to handle their dogs, they don't know how to read dog aggression, and they don't know how to read dog body language, it can escalate really fast. Parasites. If you get anything such as Giardia or Coccidia in the ground, you won't get rid of it. Most of the parks that are successful because they're monitored very strongly. They have to be members of the park. The dogs have to present proof of rabies vaccination to the minimum and proof of other vaccinations that they've had, plus clean bill of health to be entered into the dog park. Cleaning up after the dogs that are in the dog park. Not everybody is a responsible owner. They don't pick up after them. We're concerned about the health issues of people and children that might go in the dog park if that's not done. The cost to maintain it, as you're saying in the paper, you didn't want to have that cost, and we're very concerned about that. Like I said, not saying that it wouldn't be something that might work, but I think you need to do a lot more research on it than what I've seen. I don't know that you've contacted any dog behaviorists or professionals to ask them their opinion of how you may be able to do that, but that might be a step as well. Now, an alternative to the dog park, our club has a good relationship with City Parks and Recreation. We've hosted dog shows here for the past 3 years. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. And we have heard that the city's been offered the building, I think it's the old bingo building at the fairgrounds. And that could be a possibility. Our dog club would be willing to come in and host dog training classes, dog education classes, where we could have the citizens be more responsible owners for the dogs, have dog obedience training classes, have confirmation classes, have rally classes. These are things that people get to do activities with their dogs with. A training facility like that would promote responsible dog ownership and foster more family activities with dogs than we think a dog park would, with an opportunity to bond together with the community members that would come for training. So we're just very concerned, and we'd love, you can contact me at any time if you want, and I'll be happy to leave you some of the research that I've gotten if you want to have it. This is just one of the packets about some of the pros and cons of dog parks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I haven't got a whole, my name is Charlotte Webster, and I work with Karen. She works with me with our dogs and our dog
Move the
training.
microphone down. Great, thank you.
There are a lot of reasons in rural communities, and I'm not putting us down as less than capable, to not have the dog park until there is some training, information passed to people in the community on how to behave in a dog park. You get dogs in there. I have one, for instance. I would never allow him to go to a dog park because I call him ADD. He acts before he thinks, and then he goes, oh my God, what'd I do? And there's a lot of dogs like that. Being responsible for the cleanup. I have seen it myself, and I'm kind of rude. I always usually have a poop bag in a pocket or something, and I say, here, you need to clean it up. Until they're educated on the diseases that the feces carry that can be transmitted to other animals and there to the families, that needs to be addressed also. It's a lot of money to put into a park that might work. Again, our group, we have many capable people. Karen really left herself short. She's an AKC, UKC nosework judge. I'm a nosework judge. We are all trainers. She's a trainer, I want to be. And we all compete. In the dog show world, we know what can work and what can't. So just think about these things, and you can contact me, Karen, or anybody else in our group and in our club. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Debbie Drake, and I'm a dog owner. And I know some of these ladies over here, and they're wonderful. They're more educated in that than I am, but as a dog owner and as a member of Therapy Dog International, I had 2 golden retrievers that were trained to go to the hospital and nursing homes, and they've both died now, but I've got 2 more, and one's a puppy, and she loves to run, and there's nowhere in town that I can take her unleashed. And so it's something that I think we could really use in our community. I do agree with the facts that they have given regarding diseases and parasites and such as that. But my son's in the military, and I have been to dog parks on base at military Air Force Base, and they're wonderful. And you do have to have dogs that are behaved and owners that know how to handle their dogs. But if you just walk through the neighborhoods in Paris, there are so many dogs. I think that we have the potential to have something that could even be a fundraiser for our community in doing something like these ladies have mentioned. And I guess that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak on this? No? Any other discussion from the council? Oh, I'm sorry. Pardon me.
My name's Wendy Hammaker. I'm a longtime dog owner, cat owner, and whatever else. I used to own a pet sitting business as well. I do appreciate the input, and I agree to a very large degree that we've got a lot of uneducated pet owners. I think that in the many dog parks that I've attended with my dogs, the better ones were very strict. The animals had to be altered. They all had to be spayed and neutered. You did have to buy, say in my case, I was in Kansas City, had to get a day pass. So they did have to be members of the dog park. So they had to be healthy, vaccinated. I think it would be a huge asset for the Paris area to have a dog park, but I do think we need to go into this carefully and not quickly. Investigate all options. I think a good potential avenue for funding for maintenance could be an attached self-service dog wash. There is one in Blossom that we could take a look at how they constructed that and how they operate that. So again, I'm pleased that y'all are taking a look at doing something like this for Paris. I agree it should not be near a source of excitement such as a city pool. It needs to be a quieter place, but someplace where we can feel safe to take our dogs. Next to the police department would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Barbara Long, and I'm a dog owner for many years. My dogs are rescues, and they choose me usually. I don't choose them. But it's hard to take them on a walk together because one's older and the young one wants to play and run and walk very fast, and one can't keep up. So it's very hard just to take them on a walk. And when we are able to go to a dog park in another city, it is wonderful. And I would appreciate it. I think there's many, many responsible citizens here and that would enjoy the dog park. And I do agree that it needs to be in a quieter place. And I'm really appreciating the fact that you're considering this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I want to say something when
Sure.
you get done.
Go right ahead, Dr. Roger.
I'm a dog owner too. I have 2 huge dogs. But the one thing I want to say, first of all, I'm thrilled that all of you came for and against, because that's the purpose of this. At no point the thought was to just create one either at the pool. These are just thoughts, and I think one of the reasons why we had brought it to the council was because it was one of the requests that the citizens, when they were surveyed, they requested. The intention, at least my intention, was never that we just decide ourselves and say, okay, put it at the pool or put it there. I think all of these decisions, I think points on both sides are very well taken. I really enjoyed the points that Ms. Webster and you made, because I think they are all outstanding points, and I do agree that there are issues that are not that simple that you just create it and you say, okay, well, tomorrow there's a dog park. There are consequences to it, and I think decisions which are made after being thought of carefully and planned carefully are a much better choice than just rush into something. So I do think points on both sides are well taken, but I think we need to give it some more thought before we ink the project. So, and I think that is the same feeling that the people who support the dog park are also saying. I don't think they're saying anything different. I would love to take both my dogs are really, one is 130 pounds and the other one is also huge. And they love to run around if they're left open. They're well behaved though. But I do think that we need to think it over a little bit more carefully, and maybe all of you could have input into it. People who are much more experienced than, I may have trained him a little bit, but obviously I'm not to that point of doing that. So I think the input is excellent, and I think we should think it over before we ink anything like that. and get help from these people who are experienced in it.
Yeah, well, for me, and not that we're all raising our hands on who owns dogs and who doesn't, but I do have 4, and you know, we are a haven. It's like a big magnet around our house. And so the concept of interacting with your pets and they're a part of your family and making sure there's health and well-being for them, that's a very positive thought. I heard some things tonight I had questions about safety and liability issues, but there were some really good points raised tonight that even took it a step deeper for me, that you know, the excitableness, I guess, if you place it near the pool, that having had a unfortunate experience with a dog like that of my own, it really is kind of eye-opening. So yeah, I would say that before we ever move forward, I would say that there's lots of questions to be answered.
Mr. Price, I think there were a lot of people here this evening too that were going to speak on this issue, but because of the recycling thing taking precedence, they didn't bring it up. But there were several people here tonight that were here for that purpose.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say, I want the people here to understand, we are not against a dog park at all. What we're against is not getting the education to make it so it's a good dog park, so that it works and that no one gets hurt. And the dogs, I mean, I've seen a dog killed before. It's not nice. And if that happens, that's the end.
Yeah. And I think Ms. Webster's point was very good, that you're going to make an investment, whether the city contributes or not, even if the residents contribute.
Right.
It's a big investment for the city and for the residents, and it should be done properly.
Yeah, that's all that we're asking, is that you put enough research behind it that it will be beneficial for everybody that goes.
Okay. Any other discussion, Dr. Grishnick?
Yeah. Yeah, I have 5, and you know, most of them are rescues, 4 of them are at least, but I had a lot of concerns, and you expressed lots of them about the location, the fact that the dogs should be spayed and neuter, or somebody's pet's gonna get bred, maybe not intentionally, but certainly they need to be up on their vaccination and health papers. So there has to be some credentialing process to allow people to use that dog park, not just anybody walk up with the dog already not on a leash and just let him bop in there. And
It's really important that the park be monitored by someone who understands what's going on. I mean, you can't just open the gates and say, here you go, here's the dog park. There has to be somebody.
I don't know if Chief Hunley would like to speak on this issue. I know he's contributing 2 or 3 officers, is it, to the shelter, and he's a dog lover and animal friend. Do you have anything to say about it? Right. No, I'm not asking him personally to do it. I just wondered if he had anything to share about the feasibility of a dog park in Paris.
Okay.
And we have plenty of animals ready for adoption.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you for the plug, Chief.
And in the interim, they can either run at Dr. Grossnickels or at Dr. Osmond's, because they both got yards big enough to handle it for a while.
Is there any discussion or any action to take on this item at this time? I take it from what I'm hearing, it's more of just, let's keep this in the pipeline to research it a little bit further, if that's agreeable to everyone.
Perfectly fine.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Item 25, Ms. Ellis.
Discuss property located at 1728 Maple Avenue, purchased from Kenny Kamer, is related to taxes, and provide direction to staff.
Well, I don't have anything new to present, and I'll defer to the finance director and city attorney. They've met with Mr. Kamer in the past, but just to clarify some things, because I think some folks thought this was a property that was acquired through back taxes. That was not the case. This was a public sale of a property. Mr. Kamer was the bidder for that property. He acquired that. The back taxes date back to 2002, so there's not been additional taxes accruing during that time. Those were taxes that were owed to PJC and to the county and to PISD, not to the city. So those are somebody else's taxes, not the city's taxes.
Okay. Mr. Kamer, I take it you'd like to address the council?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer, before you address, can I ask one question of the city manager?
Sure.
The city is not required to pay the taxes.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Then when the city acquired the property, there should be no taxes.
These
So
were
why are we
taxes,
talking about putting
these were taxes that were owed before the city acquired the property. No taxes have happened since that time.
Okay, but the city got the property, right?
Bought it, not through taxes, but bought it.
Yeah, bought it. But the thing is, the city bought it with the understanding that there were taxes on it, right?
I don't know that. In 2002, I assume they knew it, but
Okay.
yeah.
Then why should this poor person be subjected to taxes? Because for all that matters, he thought the city had the property and the city didn't owe the taxes. And so I don't understand the point that the city doesn't pay the tax, the city bought the property, and now he bought the property from the city and is maintaining the property, right?
Yes.
Okay, and now we are telling him that, no, let's go back and tax you from backwards. I don't understand the thought process.
Well, again, I'll defer to the city attorney who's dealt with this directly, but my understanding is that the city bought property. I don't know why, I don't know how much they paid for it, I don't know what the conditions were, but they bought property, and taxes were owed on that property to those other three jurisdictions. City doesn't pay property taxes, so the city never paid those. They've never gone away. They're not taxes that we owed, they're taxes that are owed on that property. So those go to the next property owner that they're still there, owed to those three jurisdictions. No taxes were assessed while the city owned it, so the city was owed no taxes, paid no taxes. And Gene maybe has more detail, because this is not really my deal anyway.
I just wanted to make the point, the city didn't actually buy the property, it was donated. I was here when that was done, but I don't really recall the circumstances as to why. But we didn't go out and seek it to buy it. Somebody approached the council, said, can I donate it to you? And we acquired it in August of 2002. That's when we acquired it. According to the appraisal district office, these are 2001 taxes, which would have attached 1/1/2001 and been billed October 2001. And quite frankly, when we sold the property, I didn't bother to look and see if there were any taxes on it or not. So I didn't know at the time that we sold it that there were still some issues out there.
I have a question. Mr. Kamer, you bought that property when it was advertised in the paper?
When it was advertised?
It was advertised, and that's how you put a bid on it?
No, ma'am. I requested, I sold the property across the street from this lot.
What I'm saying is you put a bid in on this property, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at that time, how did you find out about it? How did you find out the city had the property and they wanted to get rid of it?
Well, I was looking around for a place to move my houses. I had two rent houses
but
on
how
that
did you
property.
find this out? You just went to the appraisal district, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How did you know the city was going to sell it? I'm
I
just saying,
didn't.
I thought that it was in the newspaper.
It was in the newspaper after I requested
Okay,
the
so it was
property.
put up for bids.
Then it was put up for bid. It
Okay.
went up through the regular
In that
process.
process, in that advertisement, did it tell you that there were back taxes you would have to pay?
No, ma'am.
There was no mention of any taxes that you would be responsible for.
No, ma'am.
So you bid a certain amount thinking that you were just getting the land, nothing about taxes.
Correct.
City attorney.
Yeah, Mr. Kamer, are these taxing entities coming after you for these back taxes to collect? I mean, are you getting delinquency notices, or what?
No.
Okay.
When I sold the property on Bonham Street through to Maple, had the two houses back there, I needed to move them off. I looked around the neighborhood, for a place to locate a house or houses. Y'all happen to own one. It's It's my understanding that property was gifted to y'all. I came up and asked Gene if y'all were able to sell the property, and he said yes. So it had to go through the normal bidding process, posted in the paper twice, and nobody else bid on that property. I placed the bid. There was a minimum bid of $1,000, and I went to the tax office and indicated there was 39 appraised for by the tax office. I bid $4,100 on it. Nobody else paid or bid on it. So I assumed, kicked me for that, that the minimum bid of $1,000 would go to take care of any debt owed on the property, so a clear title would be available for sale.
I don't think the city, at least since I've been here, I'm not aware of the city ever getting any delinquency notices for any back taxes on that property. So
I don't know who was.
I don't think there was any intention on the city's part to sell you something that might have had some 10-year-old taxes on it. But this might be something we can talk to LCAT about and see what's going on and see if those taxes are really still due or if it's just showing up on their website, or find out if it's legitimately owed and go from there.
Could, if they were legitimately owned, doesn't he have the possibility of going to PJC and to the county? I guess, I don't know about and theoretically the school district, and asking them to waive those taxes for that year? Because it's just 1 year, right?
Mr. Pickle, as I indicated in my outline there, I came back to Gene when I found out, after I had the property surveyed and platted like I was required. Gene recommended that I write a letter to these entities, the other taxing entities, and request them to waive it. And they said they couldn't do it, but that the taxes should have been paid from the sale of the property.
Can we not
in order to provide a clear
facilitate
title?
it and ask as the city that we were the owners of the property and we sold the property and you didn't tell us that they were delinquent taxes? So come on, be helpful about it. I mean, the property went from dead property to property that the man is doing something with and is taxable property now. So, I mean.
Well, really, PJC can abate it theoretically, can't they? And the county can, because they can do abatements today. The school, I'm not sure about the school. However, the flip side of it is that all of the properties that we foreclose on, that we have to maintain, that we don't send them a bill for taking care of all that stuff.
That's right. We don't.
Common sense says that they might be better off just
Waiving it,
in
yeah.
a situation like this, letting it go, rather than us sending them maybe we need to start sending the school district a bill for maintenance. Because there are a lot of properties in the city that are in the PISD school district that we maintain.
I think we can talk to them and talk to the appraisal district and see what we can, if there's something, we can find out where everybody stands on this thing today that's, 13 years later.
It just seems to me, if it wasn't in the advertisement that he was going to have to pay some taxes, just like we do on the courthouse steps, when we get rid of something, there's no taxes that those people are charged. I know that for a fact, because I bought some property that way.
Did you not have to pay PISD taxes?
No.
Okay.
And
Well, there is some way there is some way they can do it.
Isn't it now we don't have to maintain that property, otherwise city would have had to maintain that property for all this time.
Well, and he's put a house on it, so it's now,
That's what I'm saying.
we're getting
So, I mean,
taxes on it.
I think we should write a letter on compassionate grounds that for God's sake, give us a break on this. That's just my opinion, but
So do you want to?
We'll do that. We'll do that and report back to you all.
Kent will coordinate with the appraisal district and see what the actual circumstances can be, if that's agreeable to you, Mr. King.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Item number 26.
We're not going to do that.
Or are we going to executive session?
No, we don't, no, we don't need that
Okay.
now.
That's why I was
We don't
asking.
need 27.
All right, so 26, 27 are passed. Item number 28.
Consider and approve future events for our city council and our staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081.
We have a meeting next week.
Yes, next Monday at 5:30.
Okay. And that is for the public hearing?
Yes.
Right on the annexation.
On the annexation. So
And
next Monday,
we'll send an agenda
Okay.
out to you all.
Anything else for anyone?
Just for the record, is that annexation a voluntary one that was asked for by these citizens, or what's the?
No, it's the nursing home on Stillhouse. We're providing services there anyway, fire department, those
Okay.
things, but we're not collecting taxes because they're not in the city limits. So, all right. Any other things to add to the agenda? No? With that, item number 29?
Got 5 more minutes, make it even 3 hours, so I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion from Sue,
Second.
second from Benny. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.